Baya demons no je te biare sangi anya okai it babo figure de play good de bobla kai bobo monsi on se fa yoku mole yeah in the who like ya onya wa ji fro e de jama na ta body go ya da manu o manyo da wa ma sai bo ko ye mu e de ye ke na o ko ya manyo ma ko mama de kwa we ta we de ye mu wa ye ke na o ko aya de mo ye play o yeah.
Papa Joe Feliz. Femme dynamique de Taoubli. You know what we are.
With the one year
Présidente Gay Marie. Tante Philippe.
You know, I get me, you know, but I get me. When you have people who pop up, yeah, this I told you. Well, never way, blah blah blah, and I am here. Those are good, yeah. Play me out here. I get me women. The way I go down, I can't do it. You call it out.
Good evening, folks. Welcome. I'm Alfonso Ziansot of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. I am here this evening. This is Lpr-Tv special, taking you to neighboring like Cote d'Ivoire. We want to be having a presidential conversation here this evening. My guest is standing by back studio. Dr. Clarance K. Moniba is seeking for the higher office of the land. What does he have in store for Liberia? Just Bible, we're going to be house cleaning here. We will get the program going. We are running a little bit late. It doesn't matter. Just keeping it in there. It's about Liberia, so we got to do it. And I'm here to be looking at our guests. All right, let's get this program going. Good evening, good afternoon, Liberia. Welcome to all our viewers and listeners across the globe. Let's quiet down this music and talk what we need to talk. I am Alfonso Ziansot of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. We want to welcome to all our viewers and listeners across the globe. The conversation, the marathon for the higher office of the land politically is on the rise. 2 gone, 3 or 4 more to go. We now know the sitting president, Dr. George Manawia, will continue with Dr. Joy Howard Taylor. Former Vice President Joseph Newman Boyka lifted the hands of Senator Jeremiah Coon from Battleground, Nima County. Ellis Cummings, we are now hearing on the titan, well, most likely at the conventions will be lifting the hand. Who is that person? Well, another young generation is in this league. We need to know where would this hand be lifted and who does he have in mind. We'll be talking to Dr. Clarance K. Moniba right here on the Diaspora Informative News outlet. That's the building there, the Executive Mansion. That's the official residence of the President of the Republic of Liberia, been heavily contested in the West African state of the Republic of Liberia. Let's get a program going right here. Good evening, good evening. We say welcome. Thank you so much for sharing your evening. Let me go inside the West African state of the Republic of Liberia to join our special guest, Dr. Clarance K. Moniba. It's the son of the former vice president. So it's a formidable name. How he got to this point? What prompted his decision? Let me just bring in here. I don't want to preempt what he's going to be saying. Joining me from Liberia is Dr. Clarance K. Moniba, the political leader of Liberian National Union. Lano, correct? Am I getting it right?
Absolutely. How are you doing tonight?
Great. Good to have you here, Di. Thank you so much for accepting and honoring our invitation to appear on the Liberia Public Radio. I would say since this whole thing went explosive, is a very first presidential aspirant to have here, simply because I think the courage is there, and we must commend your communication team. I don't usually commend politicians. Let me just tell you off front. If I'm doing it, it means very spontaneous, responding. Remember, I made the first call because we can slam you guys. So when something good is done, I think we must have that courage and conviction. But I don't want to do too much praises because that does not in any way will stop us from asking the question we need to ask here. Good evening. Thank you so much for honoring our invitations. Welcome to the show.
No, thank you very much. Very happy to be here. And yeah, I've watched 1 or 2 shows of yours. I don't expect you to hold back. And I think that's the most important thing. We need leaders who can come on air and be asked any question that the public sees fit, that the journalists see fit. And they have to be in a position to be able to answer it with truthfulness and then with quality as well. So I look forward to this interaction today. I look forward to, people listening to our platform. And, what we truly believe is that when people hear us, they see our energy, they see our qualifications, they see our passion for the country, they will end up supporting us. So thank you very much again for this platform.
And so to just let you know, you are at liberty at your will and pleasure anytime to plead the fifth, just in case we ask any questions that might sound insane to you. Say, look, you know what, Alfonso, I'm not answering that question. That question is not relevant to my political quest. We are at liberty of doing that as well. But we have to ask this question. But again, thank you so much. Let's get the conversation going. We are already running behind time. How you got to this decision here? Do you remember the first person you shared note with when you decided to take this sort of major task? How you got to this point?
That question is always interesting because I know the exact day that I got to this point. The exact day, I know the exact moment. December 27th, 2004, the day I was burying my late father, who was the former vice president of Liberia. As we were burying him, I made a commitment to 2 people that day. It was myself, and then, of course, my father, former Vice President Dr. Harry F. Moniba. I promised at that time that I would be one of the people to change this country. And so from that moment on, I promise you every single thing I have done from December 27, 2004 to today has been to prepare me, to educate me, to broaden my connections, working at the World Bank as a consultant, working at the African Development Bank as a consultant, working at the United Nations, working at our Liberian Embassy in Washington, D.C., serving as Minister of State with our portfolio, serving as Chairman of LEC, serving as the highest person to oversee infrastructure development in this country. Every single thing from 2004 December was done to get me in this situation where I'll be running for president, to make history. But the history isn't necessarily to say I'm president. The history is to be, one of the people responsible for the transformation of Liberia.
Do you remember the first person you have this conversation with, and what was their immediate response when you told? There must be a person that you shared.
It was my mother. It was my mother, Minita K. Moniba, who at some point will probably watch this as well. But it was her. At that time, we were very brokenhearted. I truly still believe that my father, Dr. Moniba, was the best president that Liberia never had. And so as we was mourning over his body, I remember talking to her and promising her that I would finish my dad's legacy. I would put my feet in his shoes, and I would finish the legacy. And again, the legacy for him wasn't just to say that he was president of the Republic of Liberia. That's not a good enough legacy. The legacy that he was fighting for, the legacy that I'm fighting for, is to be the person, who leads the transformation, the complete and total and sustainable transformation of Liberia. And so, yes, the very first person I told that I was going to do this was my mother. And I continue to remind her every step of the way. When we got our first master's, I reminded her. When I got my second master's, I reminded her. When I got my PhD, I reminded her that we were going to do this because we're on a mission.
What was her reception? What was the instinct?
My mother.
Knowing, and not to interrupt you, Dad, knowing the volatile politics of Liberia, the issue more or less is being swept under the rug. Entertainment is being inserted into because of these proliferations of network. It makes it very difficult to have this genuine conversation. It becomes bitter, it becomes resentment, names calling comes in. She took all of those into consideration, including yourself, before making such a volatile decision?
My mother is a true supporter. I know everybody says it, but I could not have asked for a better mother. I don't even want to think about anybody else being my mother. She has supported. I always tell people that my father led the family, but my mother was the rock and the foundation for the family. And so when I told her this, she would just say, "Listen, if you feel like this is your true passion, don't do it for your father. Don't do it for me. Do it for yourself. And if you feel this is your true passion, we are behind you." And true to her word, every single day. In this campaign, she has become my campaign manager, my campaign everything. So, she's proud of me, just like everybody in my family is proud of me. Your job is to support your children, especially when they're doing the right thing, for their families and for their country. And so, again, I'm so proud to have her in my corner. She is the most important person to me. And we're going to make her proud. We're going to make her proud. We're going to make the mothers of Liberia proud, the women of Liberia proud, and we're going to make the people of Liberia proud. I always say that there are good Liberians in this country who want to do good for Liberia. And I'm proud to say that I'm one of them. And so we'll continue to build, continue to work until we get the country that we want.
Okay. Do you see yourself an underdog in this race?
I'm an underdog in some sense, yes. This is my first time running. But in terms of qualifications, I do not feel I'm an underdog. As I mentioned before, I've worked at several institutions around the world and here in Liberia. Anything from working at the Liberian Embassy in Washington, D.C., to the United Nations, to consultants at the African Development Bank and the World Bank, serving as the youngest minister of state with our portfolio in Liberia's history, serving as the youngest chairman of LEC in Liberia's history, serving as somebody who oversaw infrastructure development. So underdog in the sense that this is my first time running, and everybody else pretty much who is running have been running for 7 or 8 years, but not underdog in terms of education. I've talked about that. Not underdog in terms of the energy and the vision to use this, to push this country forward. So I truly believe as I continue to come on platforms such as this, people will get to know me. People will get to know my passion. And by the time we come to October 10th, I will not be an underdog. We fully expect to be to the second round. We represent the 85% of the demographics in this country, which are people under the age of 45. But I always tell people, I said, don't vote for me because I'm young. Vote for me, again, because I've been blessed to have been educated and qualified with character. I've negotiated hundreds of millions of dollars for this country. Not one person will ever say that Dr. Clarance Moniba stole any money, took a single dollar in bribes or in benefits that weren't mine. And so, I truly believe in the process that we are doing. This is my third interview of the day, and second interview and second 2 speeches. We are going to work to gain the trust of the Liberian people. We are going to work to gain the vote of the Liberian people. So as it stands right now, we've done a lot of polling. I'm third in most polls. And I truly believe that by the time 5 months from now, we'll be good enough to have gone to the second round of this election cycle.
Politics is such a rocky one in Liberia. Politics, your institutions. How is the establishment here institution? Is it Morovia based, or the inclusive out of the 15 political subdivisions. I haven't seen much. Might be probably I'm on the wrong side of history, and you can disabuse me that, if you will, in terms of getting out there, leaving the Moravian belt, because this is where politicians glue themselves, and that's what I find very difficult. Moravia is just minute of the country, understanding it is the central, it's the capital, that's the resident of the presidency. But what happens to the rest of the 14 political belt? Is your political party presence felt in all of those areas?
We have, you know, the political party has been around since 1996, and we have, you know, we have a base that we're continuing to build. I personally have given speeches in over 11 counties in the last year. We visited over 200 towns and villages and communities over the last year. So we're doing the work that's necessary. Of course, Monserrato is only one of the 15 counties, you know, but it has almost half of the population as well in this country that will be voting. And so we're spending a lot of time here, but then we've also spent some very good time, and we've built some very good bases in different counties, you know, in different districts all around the country. We just established our campaign team in River Cess, in River G, in Sino, and in Maryland. And so we're working. We are going to do the work and hope for the best in terms of, at the end of the day, we have garnered enough votes to get to the second round, which is the goal of everybody right now.
This is the goal of everybody right now. You work in the Unity Party government of Madam Helen Johnson Sirleaf, and I have taken a comprehensive review, coming to your profile, your work experience. There is no ink that I found to mark anything that is not qualified. So let me ask you, are you a member of the Unity Party or what?
You know, I never was a formal member of the Unity Party. I served in the government, again, at very extremely high levels of the government. But no, you know, I never joined the Unity Party. My father is the one who established Liberia National Union. And so I've always looked at myself as a lifelong member of the party. And so, you know, I never, like I said, signed any formal documentations or anything for UP. I just supported President Sirleaf, as I felt like I was serving the government and people of Liberia. But you know, in terms of party-wise, you know, the plan and the goal is to always be a member of Liberia National Union.
Talking about your father, let's do some little bit backtracking. It's all about history. You would say, Scarlett, we will always make a reference. And I think you undercut my question, because I think your mom did tell you it's not about your father. So you made a political decision. Dr. Moniba was a standing bearer of the former National Democratic Party of Liberia. The party, I believe, is either there or on like support institutions. This is where I'm going. I'm concerned with the lack of institutions being not surviving in the country. He left his NDP out. Unfortunately, he's not here. We can ask him that question. You join, I believe you are the 5th political leader of that party. What will happen at the end of the day? Will you still be, no matter what, will you still stay as a member, a card-carrying member, executive, or former political leader, whatever word that is applicable to this conversation? Will you still stay? I am concerned politicians leaving from one party to another party simply because they want to get some political attention. As the result, TWP, where is it right now? NDPL, they were in the health state power for many years. Where is the institution? Why are these political institutions are not surviving? What would be your ultimate political decision at the end of the day?
Well, you know, I think, and that's why I'm so proud to be part of Liberia National Union, which, you know, my father started in 1997. Yes, he was the standard bearer of NDPL, but then he moved over to establish the Liberia National Union. And we've been around for almost 30 years, making us one of the oldest parties in Liberia. The only difference that we have at the party is simply because, you know, we have never taken state power. And so a lot of people are still getting to know the party. But we are building the brand of the party. Yes, I am the 5th political leader, with my father being the first one. And I plan on staying with this party. Like I said, the goal is to not only stay with the party, but to grow this party and to make it a true institution. The challenge we have in Liberia is that normally, typically, you know this very well, If you're the head of the party, you end up paying for everything. You end up doing everything. You end up making all the decisions. So the minute you leave, it falters, it crumbles. So what we're trying to do here at the party, even just yesterday, we had a leadership convention where we established new leadership for the next 6 years. But I just came to the political leader position in the standard bearer position of LINU just recently, and so it was.
But what means that? So what means?
So we'll be finalizing our convention. Like I said, yesterday was the convention for the leadership, and we'll be finalizing our convention for all the people who will be running on our ticket, representatives, senators, as well as myself as standard bearer. We're going to finalize that. But the party was existing before I became political leader. Like I said, it's been around since 1996. It's been strong. It's been constant in the Liberia's political world. It's just that now we have to make it a big party, a party to be reckoned with, and that's what all of us in the party is working towards.
Okay, working towards. Who are your policy advisor? I'm sometimes I get nervous. Most of our politicians, group political leaders, which is coined with this book here, Liberty Hajj by legendary journalist Kai Gerald, the breadth of this whole political leader. For the most part, we don't see their top supporters, policy advisor, economic advisor, official spokesperson. That will give us a sense of this sort of leadership they're going to be bringing in the overall office, the executive mansion of the Republic of Liberia. I assume most of your speeches you go on over places, but let's do this here a little bit. I want us to do, and I will get your quick reaction, courtesy of the Moniba campaign.
Fellow Liberians, I believe that Liberia will be a great nation one day. So on behalf of the millions of Liberians who recognize the massive failures of this administration, for the millions of Liberians who feel the worsening pain and suffering from this administration, for the millions of Liberians who are of our generation, who still believe and hope for a brighter future, hear me now. I am calling on the current president of Liberia, George Weah, to not contest this year's presidency.
Okay, that was you recently calling on the current president not to contest. How? Why?
The very nature of me running for president means that I think that our country should be going in a different direction. The very nature of me declaring my candidacy to run as president is not to say, to put on my resume as a presidential candidate. No, the very nature of me running is simply because we are currently not happy with the direction of this country. We are not happy with the direction of the administration. And so therefore, that's why I'm running for president, so that we can change this, so that we can build our country, so that we can transform our country, so that Liberia can be better tomorrow than what we have today. And so the reason of that is because, if that press conference, I highlighted several things that I think are very important for our country to be able to realize as we try to move our country forward. I identify some of the issues that have happened over the last 5 years in this country, which includes, four government auditors being killed within a span of 7 to 10 days without no true investigation, no statement from the president. I talked about an EPS, a Secret Service EPS officer being killed on presidential duty. Absolutely, no true investigation and no statement by the president. I talked about the $25 million that was, spread in mop-up or distributed in mop-up. That has been no accountability, no investigation, and no statement by the president of the country. And so there's so many other things I identified in terms of civil servants not being paid right now for months at a time, the harmonization, which took up to 50 to 60% of most civil servant salaries. So I identified all those things as A, the reason I'm running for president, but B, the reason I think that we need a complete new change in leadership. And that's why, the president, in my opinion, should stay away and step away from this electoral process, because we are in a position right now where we have to be able to transform our country. We have to be able to change our country. We need leadership now who loves the country more than they love themselves. And so again, that's why I'm running. And that's why I made that statement, to be able to kind of push the idea of the Liberian people to realize and understand that right now it's not a popularity contest. We shouldn't be asking the question of, oh, yeah, this guy is popular, this guy. We should be talking about policies. We should be talking about what is a leader talking about for the agriculture sector. We should be saying, what are the policies that this person wants to put in place for the education sector? These are things we need to be talking about. And up until we do that, Liberia will continue to falter. We will not continue. We will not build our country, and we'll have the same situation we have now, which is 5 million people, all of them not benefiting from the resources of this country.
I am on your official website, and by the way, these are some of the things that really do my attention, because most of our politicians, they don't have anywhere that you can go. They have this little chihuahua making noise, causing, not discussing the issue, but there are a lot of things you talk about here. The question becomes, how were those things done? Let's go to education, and you are so educated, so there's no doubt that you really find interest in that. How much will the Dr. Clarance Mombolu administration invest into genuine education to bring it up to standard that will be competitive to other countries and even world alike? How much are you looking at to invest into quality education, for example?
Well, I always tell people in the Clarance Moniba administration, we'll be very clear in terms of where we need to invest our money. And so, one of the most important things that we overlook is the fact that we do not spend enough money on teacher training in this country. We don't spend enough money on school feeding in this country. We don't spend enough money on facilities in this country. Our children go to school, they are hungry, they are sitting on the floor or on broken benches. There's no blackboards, there's no books, there's no science labs, there's no libraries. So what we have to be able to do is to relook at our budget. It's stupid to think that we can continue to run a country where the president's office gets almost $20 million and a hospital gets $100,000. It's just not fair to the Liberian people. I'll say it again. I'm running for president for one reason, because we have to change the future. We have to change the fortunes of Liberia. And so when you talk about recalibrating how much money we spend and where we spend it, early childhood education has to be one of the most important things in Liberia. We have to build the foundation of the young people in this country. We have to be able to feed the young people in this country as they go to school. We have to be able to pay better money to teachers so we can attract better quality teachers. We have to be able to build our schools. We have to be able to have proper bathroom facilities in Liberia. A lot of little girls, a lot of girls don't go to school because of the bathroom facilities, where we don't have no running water in almost 60% of the schools in this country, especially when you go to the villages, you go outside of the urban areas, there's no running water, there's no electricity. And so we have to spend money on that. But then more importantly, when we talk about my educational platform, it's very clear. Everybody graduating from high school, immediately we have to provide the ability, the facilities to be able to make sure that they get 2 years of technical and vocational training. That is a must in the Moniba administration. We have to be able to provide skill training to the young people of this country so that when they graduate high school, they are not only just holding a high school diploma, they're also holding a certificate in the other hand that has them prepared to be a carpenter, a professional carpenter, a professional plumber, a professional electrician. And these are the things we now have to be able to do, again, if we want to change our country.
How do you intend to navigate? And this is something that is so helpful. And the electorates and our Liberian people are the chief facilitator, Dr. Clarance, Dr. Moniba, if you will, to call you, because they have these people, they have these folks they call political leaders. They come, they don't have the conversations that they're supposed to be having. I don't see any poll be conducted, network ready. They just throw out Mr. Kume, Mr. Wia, and what his name, Joe Boyka, who we call today. I don't understand. There is nothing being picked as a burden issues of the people of Liberia. What are you voting for? What is your priority? Is it health? Is it education? Is it agriculture? You know, I know the fall of the great Soviet Union because she was unable to feed herself. That's brought the collapse of the Soviet Union today. But we are not talking that. And so people with this substantive message, it makes it very difficult when the very electors facilitate this sort of silliness by some of the talking points of people who wants to leave. We are not asking them these tough questions. How do you intend to navigate through this sort of political and hustle corridor that we have to get your message through?
You know, and because we don't ask these questions is the exact reason why we have the country we have. I talked about it before. Why are you voting for the man? Because, you know, he built hand pump in my community. Why are you voting for him? Oh, because, you know, he's popular. We are electing people who are not prepared for the job. Let's be very honest, from the representative level to the senatorial level to, you know, oftentimes to the presidential level. We continue to hire people who cannot perform at the job. We hire people who are popular. We hire people, you know, who you know, for lack of better words, who, you know, we almost hire philanthropists to do government work, you know, because he came and gave 3 people scholarship. Oh, he must be good. He must be able to serve. And so we have to start to, yes, we want to hire people who are good in their communities and who help other people, but that cannot be the only thing. We have to hire people who, when you say, what do you want to do in healthcare? They can tell you exactly what they want to do in healthcare. We have to be able to hire people when you ask them, what do you want to do in education? They can tell you exactly what they want to do in education, and not just, oh, we need to educate the people. In what way? How? And so once we start to ask those questions and insist that anybody we vote for can answer those questions, we are going to have the Liberia we have right now, which again is not good enough for the Liberian people. We have to be very honest with ourselves of where we are as a country. Liberia we have now is not good enough for the Liberian people.
Dr. Moniba, I know it might sound insane. You work against, I don't know what was the decision-making process or to what extent your proximity were with the former Helen Johnson Sirleaf Unity Party government. And we also understand the leader makes most of the time whatever decision. How close are you? Do you have the opportunity to share some of these visions with Helen Johnson Sirleaf? And I see what the politicians have called these disadvantage, the creations of the very politician, the turned around, they are stigmatized our brothers and sisters, they're calling them Zoko. You are one of the youngest ministers within the Helen Johnson Sirleaf government. Let me ask you this here. The international community heavily invested into the rehabilitation of the war-affected children. You heavily invested millions of dollars. Up to this point in time, we do not know where that process starts. I see lawmakers, when they should be talking about, but they should be putting a bill for the rehabilitations of then Catmill Rehabilitation Center. Liberian politicians, lawmakers, I have not seen that happening in my own state. David Cicilline, Jack Reed, they are not doing that. The billing institution as rehabilitation, and people cheer these people out. They clap for them. They celebrate them. They're making institutions the functional for government. So you had the opportunity to ask Madam Helen Johnson Sirleaf as to where we are with the rehabilitation center, to you, for example. You as a young person, and there are some of these people, your peers group, you as an educator, I know you want to see them out there to be independent, to make some concrete decision for themselves. Was there any explanation provided as far as you are concerned why you were in the cabinet with the Helen Johnson Sirleaf government?
You know, I was blessed to have had the opportunity to have worked with President Sirleaf for 4 years. I worked, you know, as the de facto chief of staff and minister of state or senior aide to her. And so there were a lot of issues and challenges, of course, that every government would have, especially coming, you know, out of the circumstances and the situation we had in the country. With that being said, my focus at that time was on infrastructure development, which I think is the most important thing that we have to address in this country if we want to really transform and move our country. And so when you look at things such as the RIA terminal is something that, I helped to lead the negotiations for and secure the funding for. When you look at the Mount Coffee Hydro, the $250 million, that's something, again, I was on the lead negotiation team that, secured the money. You look at the Lofa Road that's being built right now, I helped to negotiate that. In terms of the contractors who are actually on the road working. You look at the red light to Banga to Ganta Road. And so I'm just listing all these things to say my focus, my position at that time was focused on infrastructure development. But you're right, as a nation, this administration, the previous administration, we have to do a lot more for the young people of this country. The only thing we need to be able to empower the young people of this country is to give them opportunities that the typical Liberian does not have, simply because, again, we talked about it, they don't have the foundation for education. And when they are in high school, we don't give them the foundation to skill training, to become, contributors to Liberia's economy, such as a carpenter, a plumber, a mechanic. And so that's why I'm running it for president again, to be able to ensure that we focus on giving the skills, the necessary skills to the Liberian people, to the young people of this country. Again, I'll say it. The only way to take somebody out of poverty is to give them an opportunity. And these are the opportunities now that this government needs to do a better job. Previous governments should have done a better job. And under a Moniba administration, we will do a better job.
Do you also see yourself as someone who perhaps do have a share? Now, if we were to put you and Ambassador Boycott in a debate corridor, you are contesting, he is contesting. How can you argument this case against Ambassador Boycott? In his own word, the squandered. We have to note the true definitions, or we are hearing political correctness. And I know I've listened to you numerous times, listened to some of your speeches. You want to hold people accountable. Helen Johnson Sally, we know what happened to Noka. She won over $5 million with the Ibrahim's Award. Nothing was compensated, nothing was paid back to the government and to the people of Liberia. Yet they say they squandered. Where is the system? How were you? If elected as president, will somebody provide explanations to all of these financial improprieties towards the Liberian people? Is that something you're going to take into consideration?
You talked about the former vice president and, when he talked about, opportunities were squandered. I don't feel like I was part of the squandering of anything in the previous administration because I took advantage and was able to implement my responsibilities and job, which was infrastructure development. So I'm very proud of what I was able to do in the previous administration. I think a lot of progress was made with my help and my qualifications and my expertise serving at the ministerial level. And so, when other people talk about there were opportunities squandered, it would be good for them to kind of come out and highlight some of the things they thought they squandered, something that they thought they should have been doing better. Of course, the vice president has served the Liberian people in a variety of positions, I think, for over 45 years plus. And so, it'll be good for him to come and identify what he thinks he should have done better or could have done better. But for me personally, I'm very proud of the work I did working for government, again, from the diplomatic circles to infrastructure development to negotiating hundreds of millions of dollars for this country. I'm proud of that work. I can stand behind it. Not only do I, because I know it contributed to the Liberian people today, all of the electricity that Liberians are benefiting from are something where I was either chairman of the board or on the Liberian Electricity Board or head of the President's Project Delivery Unit. The CLSG, for example, which was just commissioned in December of last year, is something that we started work with under my watch in June of 2017. So I'm proud of the work I've done. And it will be up to the vice president to come and talk about what he think he squandered or was squandered in the previous administration.
Accountability has been part of your argument in most of your program here. But let me just bring you back to my question. Good is part of good governance. And I was asking, on Dr. Moniba presidency with all of these issues, because people get the tendency of abusing state power, using government resources, and as oh, sorry, I never saw anything here. This country, when you owe 1 cent, if they owe you, they send it back to you. Right now, I'm paying back to IRS because they say I work and I make money. I can argue that. You can't escape that. But we're seeing from time to time people treat whatever government, people should be proud to work for their country. I think that is an honorable thing. But on the flip side, is being so. So I am asking again, on Dr. Moniba presidency, will you take a review on some of the things? It doesn't matter how long, how many years these people, will you take a review?
Absolutely. We need war crimes court in this country, especially war and economic crimes court in this country. We need to be able to evaluate, and hold people accountable. In Liberia, the only reason corruption continues to go at the high pace it is simply because nobody goes to jail in Liberia for corruption. It just does not happen. Over the last 5 years, you can't name somebody who has gone to jail. 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. Nobody goes to jail in Liberia for corruption, and then we expect corruption to stop. It will not. We have to start to hold people accountable. We have to put people in mandatory jail. And then we also have to make people restitute the money they stole. So if you stole $1 million, you're not going to go to jail for 6 months, come out and enjoy your $1 million. No, you'll go to jail. You'll go to jail, and while in jail, we will sell your property, your home, so that we can restitute that money to government, so that we can build better houses for our people, better schools, better roads, better hospitals. So I think those are the two things in this country that is mandatory. We need a special court that only focuses on making sure corrupt charges are investigated, prosecuted, either you're found guilty or not. A common example, last year, the United States sanctioned 3 government officials for corruption. What have we done in this country to address that? It's just silence. There's no word from anybody about what's happening. If I was one of those people, I would be demanding an investigation to clear my name. But nothing has been talked about. Nothing has happened. And so, again, sometimes we just can't, we play fun with this thing of fighting corruption. We play fun with this thing of we want to develop and build our country. We continue to do the same thing and then want a different result. It's not going to happen. We have to take it serious. We need leaders who are serious about fighting corruption. We need leaders who are qualified to bring foreign direct investment in this country. We need leaders who can walk into any room, whether it's the president of the United States, whether it's the president of the World Bank, whether it's the chancellor of Germany. We need leaders who can sit with anybody in the world and be able to articulate Liberia's position, Liberia's vision, and go be able to bring money into the country so that we can develop our country. We cannot continue to play games with the future of Liberia, which is what we're doing. There are good Liberians in Liberia who are qualified, who are competent, who have the love for country, who has the ability, the vision, who has the character. I'm proud to say I'm one of those Liberians, and that's why I'm running for president.
That's why you're running for president. I want you to give you the opportunity, something in your own words. I'm going to read it because I've been reading it and I'm trying to get a good interpretation. I do not want to be judgmental in what you wrote here, because there is a reminder when the president did his inaugural that Liberia not want to be a spectators in their own economy. I don't have no specific data, but that's the talking point here. But this is what you wrote here on your official outlet here. My promise to the Liberian people is that no one will be left behind in our country's successful transformation. We heard this before. No one will be left behind. We're seeing another one. No one want to be left behind. Which one do we go with?
The reason why I say no one will be left behind is because right now, Liberia, the government is made only for government officials and their families. Representatives, senators make $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 a month. We pay the drivers $100 a month. Ministers make thousands of dollars. We pay teachers $75 a month, $40 a month. And so when we talk about no one being left behind, the simple things such as, again, the president's office.
It's a political statement, not to interrupt you. Is this a political statement, or is this something that's going to be perfected into reality when Dr. Moniba becomes the president of the Republic of Liberia?
It's a statement that must be made into a reality. So it's both. People say it from a political standpoint. Yeah, nobody will be left behind. But then you look at their history and you've seen that, there may be corruption charges on them, or their inability to perform their job, their inability to have been educated, their inability to have, been able to actually show leadership experience. So when somebody who has the leadership says, no one will be left behind, you have to take it on the fact that that person now has the qualifications to implement. The challenge we normally have in Liberia is very simple. We do not implement in this country, and we do not hold people accountable. We just talked about the fact that about accountability, how nobody goes to jail. But what is challenging for Liberians as well is that we don't implement. We talk about building a road, only half the road gets built, the other half never gets built, and the money disappears. We talk about building hospitals. We'll build a hospital, and there'll be no doctors, there'll be no nurses. The hospital will be unfinished, like the Redemption Hospital that's being built for the last 5 or 6 years in Liberia right now. So there's so many things that we have to be able to do. So yes, it's a statement made by politicians, but at some point, there are going to be a group of Liberians who will come and actually implement that statement. And that's who I want to be. I want to be that Liberian leader who comes and ensures that nobody is left behind, because we have the policies in place, that we are graduating, again, high school seniors who have the skills and development to be able to contribute to the development of this country. We are graduating people who have the foundation from the early childhood level, because they were able to go to classes with libraries and science labs. So yes, it's a statement. And also, yes, there will be a Liberian leader who comes to make sure it happens. That's why I'm running for president, to make sure that happens.
Are you not a politician?
I don't look at myself as a politician, to be honest with you. I look at myself as a technician, somebody who has the skills and expertise and the education, who has to run for president so I can change this country. So no, I don't look at myself as a politician at all, to be honest with you. I am in the political process, but I think there's ways to define yourself. And I look at myself as somebody who has the experience and expertise to change this country. And that's why I'm running for president. Not because I'm a politician, but because I have love for the country, because I have the ability and the skills to change this country, and also the leadership ability. And that's why I'm running for president. Not because I'm a politician, but because I'm a Liberian who loves this country.
Let's take a quick commercial break to get a glass of water. Folks, I'm Afonso Ziensout of the Liberia Public Radio. In a conversation with President Short Ofo, Republic of Liberia, the marathon for 2023 is on the rise right here on LPR. We'll be back, courtesy of the Moniba team. We'll be right back.
I ask every Liberian listening to do one thing: have faith. Have faith by lifting our heads high in national pride, knowing that Liberia can and will have a brighter future. A future of equality, justice, accountability, growth, and sustainability for ourselves and for our children. So as we prepare to celebrate our anniversary, when the question is asked, what are we celebrating? From today on, the answer to that question should be that we are celebrating a country that has stood the test of time. Being the oldest republic on the continent of Africa, yet having one of the youngest populations in the world. The growth of our country will not only come through the fundamental change of who we choose as leaders, but our nation's change will also come from how we choose to live as citizens. So I stand here today as one of the millions of voices of my generation, demanding that we must live up to higher values, dreams, and ideals of better education. We must insist
I am Afonso Ziensot of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. My guest is here, very cute. I saw a lot of images meeting Tony Blair, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama. Now, this seems to be there's a good layout here. Let's look at security, for example. And that's one of the things, because I've been going through this. Most of these people, they don't have anywhere you can pull out information. And this is the frustration. So it makes it very difficult for us to hold these people accountable. I'm not going to go to people, fictitious Facebook tweet and say I can do this. No. You must have an official website that when you're talking to people, they can go there and reference something. Let's talk about security. What kind of Attorney General, Police Commissioner, if Dr. Moniba is elected, we're saying the crime rate, of course, is everywhere in the world, and not to mention, so we went through 15 years of devastation. So, of course, we will accept it, but we need people who want to enforce the law. The laws are there, but the enforcement aspect, the interpretation, certain folks in government, certain people, they feel, we saw that before. So it makes some of us nervous. People from in the opposition. We saw yesterday CDC was in the opposition. They said we're going to hold people accountable. People are going to go behind rusty iron bars. They got there. Here we are. We having another batch of people coming again and telling us this is what we're going to do. How can we hold these people accountable, including yourself, with this, what we saw? What kind of police commissioner will you have? What kind of attorney general? Who will enforce the law? Where there must be community and police relationship, that we're going to have increased the police capacity, and just not to blame police. We must be able to equip them. You can't have a county where there's no police vehicle, but we have minister riding $40,000, $60,000, $70,000 car, and we have the first branch of government. They are not doing anything, but yet the one security. So how the hell is that going to happen?
Well, the only way that can happen is, again, if we get serious leadership in this country. It's that simple. We can't expect people to change overnight. That's why, again, it's so important for the Liberian people, and it's so frustrating, for somebody like me, because you see the Liberian people, supporting people who they know cannot deliver, but their reason is that the man time, or we like the man. But then yet and still, they will be the same ones who are sleeping in darkness. They will be the same ones who don't have jobs to send their children to school or to buy food, or the fact that, we're importing most of the food in Liberia. So when we talk about security in this country, or even talking about the type of person who will lead the security sector or police commissioner, it has to be somebody, who will focus on facilitating the ability of the police people. Right now, when you look around and you drive around Liberia, you see most of our police people, and you see their uniform, and immediately you lose respect for some of them, because they haven't gotten paid for months. They don't have money to buy new uniforms. They don't have good shoes or boots. It's just simple things like that. Training. We don't retrain our security forces. Once we train them for 2 or 3 months, we send them out there. 10 years later, there's no retraining. There's nothing of the sort. So we need leaders. We need a police commissioner who will understand the value of retraining our police officers every year or two. We need a police commissioner who values the importance of creating little police booths all over the country so that our people can serve with dignity and respect. We need a police commissioner who understands that paying our police officer $100 is not good enough. That's why you also need a first branch of government and a president who understands that we have to pay our security, our immigration officers, our military officers a reasonable wage. Again, it's so unfair to pay one person $13,000 and another person who is actually in the sun or in the rain $100. It's not fair. So once you get a police commissioner who understands that the people who are in the streets, the people who are risking their lives, take priority over the captain who is sitting in the office, then we will start to transform the security sector in this country.
Yeah. Agriculture. How do you think we have this group, I know Fulani or whatever name, why are we not growing? Rural connectivities, all of that. And with the respect to police, You talk about corruption, fighting corruption, and that's part of the conversation, because when you have law enforcement, I was in Liberia lately. And it's not just fair to mention, not just only to George, we are the government. This thing has been there from over. We have decent people who are willing to give back. But how can you have a man making $50, $75, $100 with a family size of 4 or 3? He doesn't have even a decent uniform that would make people to respect. Yet some of us, we live from here, we go and disrespect these police people. They stop or we can't stop. And no policeman can stop you in this country. We in this place. I was driving one time and the policeman pulled over the city mayor. Well, we have a situation where the police will be given the authority to function without the executive or even the first branch of government or not even the judiciary. When the ordinary patrolmen, they're making sure to enforce the law in order to protect the pedestrian, and then you have call coming from 1010 say, no, you should have done that. You should have done that. When will we see this sort of functioning aspect of government happening? Is that Dr. Clarence Moniba will bring that?
You know what? Yes, I have full confidence because I learned from a very early age, being with my father, understanding, and he always, my dad was vice president in this country, and he always made sure to tell us that we were not special. We were just lucky enough to serve and be, So I've realized from a very young age that nobody is better than anybody in Liberia. It's just about opportunities. The problem and the challenge we have in Liberia is that by the time you pull somebody over, immediately, oh, you don't know who I am? You don't know who my pa is? You don't know who my... It should not matter. So the point you raised about a police officer in America pulling over a city mayor, that's what it should be. But God forbid that happens in Liberia. The first thing they will say is, oh, you don't know who I am? If you have to ask, you don't know who I am, that means you are nobody. But again, in the mental state of Liberian people, we actually feel that some Liberians are better than the others. I'm running for president. I've been blessed to be highly educated. I've been blessed to have traveled all around the world. You mentioned the fact that, you saw pictures with me and Obama and Tony Blair. I've been blessed to sit down with presidents and leaders like that and speak to them for hours about nation development, investments and infrastructure development. But I understand that I only had that opportunity because I was lucky enough, not because I'm better than anybody in River G or Sino. And so once we start to think like that in Liberia, then we'll start to have the country we want, because then we'll get leaders who understand that their only job is to give opportunities to other people. So, when we look at even the women of this country who don't have access to loans, for example, who our market women, who are struggling to make ends meet because they got 2 or 3 children. We are only in this position. We are only running for office so that we can give these people an opportunity.
Okay. I was looking at the economy of Tanzania from 69.7 billion to now to 85.42 billion dollars. Wow. That is a huge one. That's what I want to see. I want to see something great coming out of my country. What is the toughest decisions in making when you become a president? What do you see as a tough decision?
I think, and I say this when I say something like this, I don't really, it's not like me trying to make fun. But listen, to lead a country is very easy, to be frank. Simply because once you know your mission, you have to have a vision. People always complain, oh, we don't know what's going on there. Listen, the vision for me is simple. In agriculture, we must become self-sufficient in our staple food of rice. No matter what happens in agriculture, Liberia will be growing its own rice. In education, no matter what happens in education, we will ensure that we have the facilities to be able to provide 2 years of technical and vocational training to every high school graduate. In healthcare, we'll make sure that every single every single district in this country has at least one state-of-the-art clinic or hospital, and JFK and Tapita Hospital are 2 of some of the best in West Africa. I'm just giving those examples to say that's easy. Once you have a direction to lead a country, then it becomes easier, because now my only waking goal is to make sure how can we support the farmers. but you have to have a vision. You have to have a passion. My job as president can be, what percent am I going to get from this deal? That's where we fail. My job as president can't be, I get to build 3 or 4 houses so my great, great, great grandchildren can benefit. No, it becomes easier to lead a country when you want to lead the country to greatness. It becomes easier to lead a country when you're very clear and show how to lead the country. Everybody else has progressed. Ghana has progressed. Sierra Leone is leaving us behind. Cote d'Ivoire, we can't even compare. Don't even go to Kenya and then Tanzania that you talked about. We are behind other countries. We are failing ourselves right now. That's why, again, we need leadership who knows what to do, who can walk in any room in the world and be able to negotiate on behalf of Liberia and be able to successfully negotiate on behalf of Liberia. And so, again, that's why we need leaders and a president like me who can talk to the US president and get money, who can talk to the World Bank president and get money, because I'm very clear on the direction that I want to lead Liberia.
I know the clock is eating. We will have this conversation from time to time. Let me come out here publicly, like we have done to other institutions. We rating the entire political parties to have their proxies, someone who will explain, because we want to hold people accountable as well, including ourselves as talking here, sit on these platforms and talk whether they are propagandists. But unfortunately, the entertainment aspect into this conversation with the politics is just so much over the board. Choosing a running mate, is that a tough decision?
Yes, that one is difficult because you have to look at what the person brings to the table. You have to be able to look at, more importantly, if the person has your same values and work ethic. I think right now in this country, we need leaders who have the energy to be able to deliver. We need leaders who can go all around the country to make sure.
Energy in what context?
Energy in terms of the commitment. And I was fortunate enough, again, to have worked with the former president, and I understand the 14 and 15-hour job day, the 15-hour days that we worked every single day. I'll give people an example. We were flying back from China, which was, as you know, like a 20+ hour flight. And while landing, I was going over briefing notes with her. So I said, okay, madam, tomorrow when we get to the office, and she said, tomorrow we're going to the office right now. And that's the type of dedication we need in this country. That's the type of energy I'm talking about. Somebody who can work every single day, 13, 14, 15 hours a day for the betterment of our country and the Liberian people. So when I'm looking for a running mate, you need somebody who has the character, the skills, the background, the vision like yours, and also the energy, because you have to be able to take a president and send him out to the Southeast for him to stay there for 2 weeks to make sure that your infrastructure projects are being done. You have to be able to take a vice president and send him to Mangibi and send him to Grand Chita to be able to work, and send him to Cape Mount to make sure that the roads are being built, that we are turning Robert Sports into one of the top tourism sites in West Africa. You need a leader, you need a vice president who thinks like you and works like you.
Choosing the vice president is a tough decision. I do not agree with the Liberian people. The concept, the vice presidency is a ceremony. I do not want no Santa Claus vice president. I want a vice president who the president can dedicate tasks, who will go outside of the country, who will negotiate, who will be able to bring some sort of investment. So let me ask you this. If elected president and your vice president, will you just only have your vice president to be the lottery or some group of 72nd, or will you dedicate specific tasks to your deputy, who happens to be your, because the vice president, the Constitution made it crystal clear. It didn't say the vice president would be, the vice president must be competent as the president. In the event that the president is incapacitated, the vice president on day one. And we saw that in this great country. If we had a ceremonial or setting down vice president, the Constitution of this country would have derailed, but the vice president stood the ground and to defend and protect the Constitution of this country, not just only the party. So I know you say you are not politicians, you are seeking political office. Will you have a vice president where Dr. Moniba is president of the Republic of Liberia to dedicate specific task, responsibility, and not just only have a yes say, okay, yeah, vice president. No. Will you make that sort of dedication? And what could be some of the specific responsibilities to be assigned to the vice president?
You would have to see the person's background. So, for example, and I'll give you a practical example. In the previous administration, President Sirleaf dedicated the agriculture sector to the vice president because that was his, he had background in agriculture. And so, I think it's important to be able to look at the person's background, look at their skills and expertise, and then be able to give them the ability to be able to make sure and implement whatever it is. But, I think if you use your vice president only as a ceremonial person, you will be failing because the vice president is the second most powerful person in the country. And that person can go and follow up on projects. That person can go and negotiate money for you. And so that's why we need a president and a vice president who can travel around the world and walk into any room and be able to speak on behalf of the Liberian people with pride and ability. We need a vice president and president who can negotiate, bring foreign direct investment, and have the competence and expertise and the character to be able to do so. So that's why it's so important. Whoever your president is, also we need to look at the vice president. Again, do they have the education? Do they have the energy? Do they have the experience? Do they have the competence? Do they have the vision for a country? So I only ask the Liberian people, as we start to make up our minds in the last 5 months, let's start to really think, who do we think can really truly transform Liberia? When we talk about changing the country, look at everybody running. Compare me to every single person running, and I believe that when people see me, they see the future of Liberia. And I can, and what I want the Liberian people to do, and what I would like you to do, is to be able to invite these other people running for president and see if they can answer the questions I'm answering right now, to see if they can provide a vision as clear as I can, because at the end of the day, this is a competition for the Liberian people to look and say, who is giving us the best platform? That's what we should be judging our presidential candidates on. Who can give us the best platform? Who do we have to trust in that can deliver? And that's what we have to be able to do if we want to change our country.
You are in the opposition. Let's do the quickly here. Who within the opposition's political ideology is compatible with that of your vision for the country? Is there any?
I'm not really going to sit here and name people. There are other good people running in the race. There's other people who I don't think should even be thinking about running in this presidential race. But there are some good people. There are some good Liberians who want to see better for Liberia. But to be honest with you, you're not going to get me. I'm not going to necessarily name anybody. And so that's why I think it's so important for the Liberian people to be able to evaluate. Go on our website. I think I might be the only, but go on our websites, listen to us talk, listen to our visions, and be able to see who do they think they can trust Liberia with for the next 6 years. We have to trust Liberia for the next 6 years, not just 1 year, not just 2 years, but the next 6 years. Who can we give the position to that we can trust the future of Liberia? And I believe that once enough Liberian people hear me, they hear my platform, they would choose me.
Let's do a political process of elimination. And let's narrow down here. Unfortunately, later, may his soul rest in peace, Abdoulaye Kamara, the former president of the press union. He has this consensual polling process here. Let's do a process of elimination here, or let me just do it here for discussion purposes. We have Dr. Weah. Joseph Boyka lifted the hands of Jeremiah Kong. Alice Cummings is still there. We're still waiting. We're still waiting for you. Mandela Kopot. Is anybody having conversation with you to say, hey, I need your strength. I need your visions. Are you talking to any political institution at this present time?
Well, I'm smiling because I've talked to and seen all of the people you talked about besides one of them in the last 24 hours. And one of them is actually,
What's that?
Going to be, huh?
What's that?
No, I'm saying I've talked to all of them or seen them all besides
That
one.
could be Alexander Cummings. Boyka with none. That could be Alexander Cummings. Because while the people are doing that, they are building team, the forwardness of team, and all of that, and then later on, the consolidations with political support will factor in. So, my guess, if I could make a good and perfect educated guess, it could be Alexander Cummings. We are hearing on the 13th going to be having a conference. Are you invited there? Is he having a conversation? Was he the last guy you talked to?
Honestly, he didn't tell me anything about the 13th, but we are all, honestly, I'm friends with all of the people in the opposition. We talk regularly. It's just where we have differences is who we think will best be able to provide the leadership in Liberia. And I truly believe the only reason I'm running for president is because I offer the Liberian people all of the things I think is absolutely needed to be president of this country. So, but I'm talking to everybody. There's discussions, but I ultimately end up thinking, we have every intention, us at our political party, Liberian National Union, and myself as a candidate, to be on the ballot running for president in October. And so, if any collaborations, that can be talked about maybe in the second round. But right now, we have the intention not only to run in the first round, but to win in the first round and get to the second round of this political process, electoral process.
There are a lot of uncertainty in politics. Is there any possible scenario where you will give your support to the incumbent, Dr. George Weah?
That would be very difficult. Obviously, after you played my statement, and again, I just don't think, and there's nothing against President Weah. There's nothing against the incumbent president. I was a huge fan of his when he played football, huge fan. But it's just the only difference is that, I don't think, I think our country can do better. I think our leadership can do better. I think the people of Liberia should be able to benefit from the resources of this country in a more holistic way. And so, I think that would be tough to be able to do. And again, I'm running for president, not necessarily to give support to other people, but for people to support my vision of a new Liberia, a better Liberia, a stronger Liberia. And again, that's why I'm running for president.
If LPR were to organize and have a debate here.
Absolutely. I'm not even going to let you finish that. Organize the debate. I'm not even going to.
Who do you want to debate? Who do you want to debate with?
Every single person. I think, yes, I'm young. I'm 44 years old, but I'm proud to say I have more practical government experience than I think anybody who's in the race, to be honest with you. When I say practical government experience, I'm not talking about the time in government, but the actual implementation of government, the actual ability to negotiate on behalf of government, the actual ability to oversee millions of dollars of projects in government. So, I look forward to debating anybody, everybody, anywhere. And I really hope that you will be able to put this together, and I will 100% show up because I think, from every measure, I think I would do well and fare well with everybody who's running. Again, everybody who's running loves Liberia. I would never sit here and say, oh, that person doesn't love Liberia. The only question we have is if the person is competent, qualified, energetic enough to deliver the change that we want in the country.
Do you recognize the building behind me?
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
Do you recognize this building behind me?
Yeah, I see it. I see it, the most powerful building in Liberia. But the hope now is that we can make that building a powerful country for good in this country. A powerful building for good in this country.
If you like to ask president, which floor will you want to reside on? 4th floor, 8th floor, 6th, whatever?
I will be residing on the 4th floor because for the people who don't know the mansion, the 4th floor is where the work is done. So I know you tried to get me right there. I wasn't going to fall for it. But no, the 4th floor is where the office is, and the 4th floor is where me and my dedicated team of Liberians will be, making sure that we push the agenda of a new Liberia.
Quickly here before you go, there was a conversation during the administration of the late Samuel Doe and that of Dr. Harry Fombat Moniba. the possibility of relocating the capital. And part of that was to extend and expand the work of government. We saw that happening with Nigeria and all of that, to downsize the populations of the city. Much is not being thought of. Is that something, for example, if Dr. Moniba is elected, to take a look, we can relocate the capital?
No, I wouldn't. You talked about Nigeria relocating the capital. That was billions of dollars to relocate the capital. What we have to do now is spend. There's $2.5 billion we need to connect and pave all of the county capital roads in Liberia. That's what we need to find money for to do. We need another $3.5 to $4 billion to make sure that we electrify all of the homes in Liberia. That's what we need to spend our money on. So honestly, I wouldn't even spend time or waste my time on relocating the capital city. When we talk about the city being overpopulated, how we decongest the city is very simple. We provide jobs in the counties. We have our people go back to the soil. We have our thousands of Liberian people move back to Lofa to grow rice, move to Cape Mount to grow pepper, move to Sino to grow bitter ball. Then you will see the city get to become empty. So we don't necessarily have to move the city. We just have to move the opportunities that are only in the city to the rural areas of this country.
Do you think the rehabilitation process in Liberia needs to be revisited? I don't know of any major rehabilitation institution. Yes, we do have vocational institution here and there, but a sustainable part, it's costly. And so when I see lawmakers building 1 or 2, 3 apartments, yes, they're getting somebody here. That's a short-term goal there. But we need to have an institution, because you're talking about clinicians, you're talking about counselors, you're talking about psychologists. You need to have some treatment plans in play, not just take somebody, go sleep the next day, to go out there and do whatever they can do. And you think by feeling that, it's not a strategy. Do you have a plan and how much to invest into a sustainable rehabilitation process if elected as president? Is that something you're going to be looking at?
We have to take our young people off the streets. We have to be able to take them off of drugs, but they will never stay off of drugs if we A, don't rehabilitate them, or B, if we don't give them a skill so that they can make money. I'll give you an example, and I always talk to people. Even one of my volunteers a few days ago, they went to his house at 3, 4 in the morning and stole his phone. They fished his phone out of the window. So I always tell people, I say, if that person who was at your window at 3 or 4 in the morning, if that person had a job to go to at 6 in the morning, do you think he would be at your window at 3 in the morning? Absolutely not. But they don't have opportunities. And so it drives them to drugs. It drives them to corruption. It drives them to stealing. I want to be very clear with the Liberian people. We have a future in this country, and the future is brighter than what we have today. But we have to elect and select leaders who, when you look at them, you see the future of this country. I'm proud to say that when people look at me, they see the future of Liberia. And that's the future we have to focus on, a future where our young people have skills and education, where our roads are built, where we have better hospitals, a future where we can actually be proud of what we have in this country, where the 5 million people are all benefiting. That's the future I'm talking about. So when we talk about rehabilitating the young people of this country, they are also a part of the future of this country. We cannot throw them away. There's no way to deport them. We just have to give them skills. So that's the future we need, a future of rehabilitation, a future of opportunities, a future of skill building. That's what we need in Liberia.
Well, folks, we will find time to have this. This is strictly on purpose. We need to hear, we need to give these presidential and those who seeking for the higher office of the land, we need them to give them the opportunity to hear them, to direct it, and not create a distraction, people calling in, because the politics in the country is so polarized. This person called from this other party and throw some sort of red meat that has nothing to do with the conversation. At some point in time, we will arrange with Dr. Moniba communication team, where perhaps maybe a town hall star, and that he can answer your question. But today we meant to have this sort of exclusive, and as soon as he leaves, we're going to be putting a number out there to get reactions. We try to do it differently. We don't do it the way of the people. We do it the way it should be and how it should be like. So our talking point here is not to appease followers or listeners. We need to tell Liberian people what they need to know, not necessarily what they want to hear. Dr. Clarance K. Moniba, political leader of the Liberian National Alliance, thank you so much for your time here. But before you go, perhaps maybe you wish I would have asked a specific question that I didn't ask that question. What is your departing statement, Liberians, people listening across country?
No, honestly, I just really want to thank you for this opportunity. Like I said before, when we first started talking, I truly believe that when enough Liberian people hear me talk, they hear my passion, they know my background and my history, my experience, they know my character. I truly believe I'm going to win these elections. And so I just really want to thank you for the opportunity to be able to talk to the Liberian people, to be able to talk to people around the world, how I've envisioned this country, how I want to move this country forward. And so the last thing I would just tell the people who are listening is that they have to have faith. They have to believe. They have to believe that there are Liberians in this country who will build this country. They have to believe that there are Liberians in this country who want to build instead of break, who want to empower others instead of only themselves. They have to believe that, because you have to believe that Liberia is going to be a great country one day. And if we believe that, then you already know there will be a leader and there will be a group of leaders who come to ensure it happens. I'm proud to say I'm one of those people, and just let us all just know that tomorrow in Liberia is going to be better than what we have today. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity, and congratulations and good job on what you're doing. Very professional, and I hope it continues to grow because you provide a space that's needed in our political dispensation.
Thank you so much. Our team of analysts who also represent, and again, like I said, that let us know your guy, Alan, and by the way, I really appreciate his spontaneous, for every time I get up, try to send a message, he will get right back in time. That's
Excellent.
how we want, because they say, well, practice makes perfect. If you have a communication person who can respond to communication and who doesn't, then of course, that makes me nervous, because when you get there, they just only want to talk to someone we're going to be here. But I will want to talk to him just in case you have anybody you want to put forward here to represent your interests on this network. We are open to that, and that's ultimately your decision. Thank you so much for being here this evening.
I would take you up on the opportunity. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. Okay.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye. Okay, I am Afonso Zienso. We are about to bring in our contributors, analysts who also represent different institutions, political institutions. Some of them are their own volition. They come here and that's what we do. So I'm going to be analysts. For those of you willing to join the conversation, I'm going to be sending the link right here, right now. I'm Afonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio. Stand by. I will be right back.
Government, it did not meet your core values?
I resign. Before I resign, I issue a 13-page press statement. It's on the internet. If you check, you'll find it. And then the president subsequently called me back into government, because at that time, she had sent all the cabinet ministers home for 2 weeks compulsory leave. I was one of those that she called back. And I said, no, I'm not coming back into your government, because what I believe you will do is not what you are doing. This country went into civil conflict, and over 300,000 people were killed because of bad governance. And I see the same thing
Happening.
being done by you. The same thing is happening.
That's why you told the president?
Yes, in a conversation with her. And I said, thank you, but I'm not coming back to the government. Anything good in Liberia. Louis Brown was National Security Advisor to Charles Taylor, man. That was the time I was tortured.
This seems to me ANC now.
Let them be redeeming themselves. They laid the foundation for the suffering that is happening today. No. It's not in good faith. Isn't it the same Louis Brown who said to President Salif Kennedy president, there no one since 1847 has so desecrated the executive mansion equal to President Kennedy, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. It was not even a month after he was appointed to be Minister of Information for that same President Sirleaf. And he was propagating everything. When he was asked by the journalist, he said, you know, when you are far from President Sirleaf, you see a bad woman. When you come close to her, you see a good person. That sounded very opportunistic to me.
For being here, and especially in these difficult times, I thank the Liberian people for their kind attention. All over this country, in every village and town, across every region and community, from mosques to churches, from markets to schools, from prisons to hospitals, across all political parties, ministries, agencies, and institutions of the government, no Liberian needs me to tell them that things are bad and only getting worse. Sadly,
I am Afonso Zeansot of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. We want to welcome our viewer. Thank you for sharing your evenings, your mornings, your afternoon, depending on your location. Polling politicians in their own word, uncensored, unedited. Well, our analysts, the link is out there. But in the meanwhile, let me just throw the number out here for those who want to give a reaction. We did this on purpose. I think we must be able to give these people who are seeking for the higher office of the land, give them the opportunity to explain themselves, because we know how the politics in a country has been polarized and heavily divided. So there are a lot of distraction. And we intend to keep the focus right here on the Liberian Public Radio. And this is why we do not just adjudicate people here. We give them the opportunity, make it fair, balanced, and proportional. If you are following this program, no matter where you are, let me just put a number out here. You've been listening here. You can call and express your views and opinion here. Whatever said on this network does not in any way represent the management and staff of the Liberia Public Radio, but we do facilitate this high-call conversation. The number is there, 682-433-8802. If you listen to Dr. Moniba and what you make of his visions of the conversation, just let us know here as well. The number is there. It's also available on WhatsApp, just in case if you are outside of US and you want to participate. It's also available on WhatsApp. I told the analysts, the link is out there for those of you who have the time to join this special here. You can also call in. The number is there. If you want to have your say, just based on what you listen to, should we give in the opportunity to say, should we take into consideration of his vision, what you make of his talking point? That's the number there to call, 682-433-8802 to participate. And we're going to be here for a few minutes just to get a reaction. And we will work with his communication team, perhaps to have him here as well. And for those of you who support these people, let us know once they are willing to come. We try to reach out, or we have reached out to many of them, including those who contested for the first branch of government, because those people, they're going to be, we're going to give them a power of Anthony. They're going to be making some consequential decision for us. Let me just go to our first caller here, who is also our regular listener, follower here. Aaron is calling from Atlanta, Georgia. And by the way, let me let the cat out of the bag. Support the candidacy of President George Manawia. Am I correct, or history is about to be changed?
You are absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct.
I'm trying to cause trouble this on here. Okay, Aaron, player, good evening. Thank you. And we really appreciate your commitment, always following us here. That's all we need, people to follow us and for us to maintain civility. You had an opportunity to listen to Dr. Moniba?
Yeah, follow the whole conversation. This is not my first time I listened to him on School Network as well. But just before I made my comment towards the show, I just want to say I spoke to one of my big brothers today who worked for you, or worked for your radio station too as well, Mazola Gisi. He used to be my director for IEN Lone Star. So I was very happy today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The lover boy.
Yeah,
Mazola.
yeah.
Oh, okay. That's nice. Good.
Yeah. But anyways, you know, Mr. Soul, the brother is a very brilliant person. Look, I listened to this guy lay out his claims on School Network, just how he did with you, and I was really, really impressed. The sad thing is, though, he's with the opposition. That's the sad thing for me. You know, but I know in 2009 he will be 2029 he will be a formidable candidate. I can tell you that. I can tell you that for sure. The guy is excellent. He's brilliant. He knows, how to articulate his stuff. And you know, he's a very smart guy. If he really stick to his gun and, you know, put all his things together, I think, you know, he can make a better president. From what I see, he can make a better president. But, you know, everything was well said, and, you know, I like the guy. If he can come on the winning team, we will take him. That's all I can say. Thank you.
So where's the winning team now?
The winning team is the incumbent.
Okay. Well, yeah, Dr. Moniba, his official website outline everything, and I think that's a very good organizational structure. That's how you take people serious, and that's how we want our leaders. We or those who support these people. That's how people shouldn't be wondering. I don't have to call your people that support you to find your vision, to know what you represent, who you are, or what you can do. You go to his website, pretty well everything is being outlined. Okay, it's there. Whether it can be done, that's a different conversation we can find time to have. But the idea, something is visible. Okay, Aaron, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Mr. So. I appreciate it.
Okay. Let's go to this 267 number, I believe, coming from the state of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area. Korotai, good afternoon. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the show.
Hi, this is Moses Ketter. Again, thank you for your show. Good show as always. Very impassioned, and I do appreciate that. Keep on a good work. Again, like the previous caller, Dr. Moniba, it's very impressive. Not only that he speaks his platform well, but as I felt about Cummings when I read his platform, these guys are very sincere about their plan, and they can tell you how they can have it done. Many times you hear politicians telling you the problem, but no solution. And even they tell you solution, you can pretty much see that they are faking something. But these guys are very sincere, and again, if I had the opportunity to ask that the Moniba, I would have 2 points with him. My first question would be, why are you coming so late? A guy like you will have started so early, you know, but maybe as a young guy, he's just trying to introduce himself to us, like the other guy said, for the next election. But he should have come earlier. He would have been very competitive, because he has a vision, and I see the conviction in him. My second question to him would have been, why is it that every politician must have a political party? We have a lot of political parties of the past that are dysfunctional for now. Why couldn't we just, reawaken one of them? We have a Brain Unification Party, a Action Party. Every year having new parties, sometimes it becomes, I think it has a negative effect. It makes the electorate to not even take the party seriously. Oh, got too much party. I would just take like him, like again, one little favorite guy I have is Gonglo. These guys should try to just work with party leaders and, look, re-energize another party. That would be from my point of view. But again, great show. Moniba is a very great guy. And Gonglo, Cummings, for now, Moniba and Gonglo are my guys.
How many people you get? Wait a minute. How many people you alone get? You get Gonglo?
No. Listen. I don't have a voting like you. Okay, let me give you what I'm saying. Before Gonglo, that was Cummings 2017. But then when I see their surrounding, and when for comments, I got disappointed in him when he just put up that rally and 70,000 went away from his pocket. Now I'm wondering, this guy with this great corporate experience, you know, I'm a very conservative guy. This guy with a corporate experience going to run our country. He has great plan. I believe in him. But from his pocket, 70,000 is gone. What will happen to our nation? So that drove me from coming. And then plus the stubbornness that you try. Look, you got to work together. You have the vision. You don't have the popularity. Much with this guy who has the people. He said no. So I let him.
Hold on 1 second. I know you are following Liberia Public Radio, and we hold all accountable here, not just on the politician. When you say stubbornness on the part of who?
Oh, on the part of commies. Again, and maybe his supporters don't get the right advice. Again, like I said, they keep telling you this is not about popularity. Yeah, it is. Popularity in electoral politics is called electability. You got a great vision, and you cannot be elected. We can't see that vision shine. So, and I gave that Joe Biden and Obama. Joe Biden ran for president forever. When Obama took him and made him VP, people look at it as a presidential material. He didn't have that popularity. So I said, why wouldn't you use the same thing? Yes, you may have all the great vision. You know, like you said to the guy, a vice president is not dominant. Go and shine with another man. Make a vision bright. Next election, people look at you. The Liberian people will know you. I personally went to Liberia. I was in Liberia 2017 on my vacation, and everybody I sat with talked about comics, and they said the name you have for him is JJC. Johnny just come. The man is good, but he just came. So comic is not even able to market. Comic cannot market. Comic cannot market himself.
Okay, if you talk about marketing, and that's the weakness of all of our major political parties. The lack of the communication skill.
Comic cannot market himself. So number one, they don't know you already, and you can't even market yourself. So I mean, those are the problems. So if I can tell you right now, like I said, I would be happy if Gonglo or Moniba could go ahead. But again, the two of them, my question is, why did you come so late? So I mean, that's my point right there. I mean, they came so late. I mean, they are bright, but politically speaking, they don't have a good standing in this race.
Okay, let me bring in. Hold there. Let me put in this number here, 410 number. Caller, are you there? 410-1243. Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good evening, Mr. Soul. I'm Joseph Contos, calling from the national capital in Washington, D.C. Thank you for taking my call.
Washington, D.C. Let's hear from Capitol Hill itself. Maybe where maybe you get a word from Uncle Sam as to who they are keeping eyes on in the political process. So, thank you so much for always being here with us to have this national conversation here. You listen to Dr. Moniba. What you make of his political argument?
I think that Moniba is one of our best in our nation, just like Mr. Cummings. And usually we have those that are now referred to as the political ancestors of our country. They're always telling these great people or our best, or they are new, they are JJC, and what have you, you know. But the question that I'm always asking, and no one can answer this question, is Liberia in shortage of people who have served in government for decades? Some people have served in government for over 40, 50 years. What have they done to change the country for the better? What have they done to change the lives of the people? When you ask that question, no one can answer that question. I think what Liberia is lacking today is not politicians who are referred to as the political ancestors. Liberia is not lacking any of that. Liberia is lacking a great manager to manage our country and our country's natural resources. Liberia is lacking people who will put their interests aside and think more about the country and the people. That's what we are lacking. I heard the last quarter making the case against Mr. Cummings. that Mr. Cummings is stubborn. And then he go along and debunk his own argument by saying, Mr. Cummings is supposed to act like what Barack Obama did. Barack Obama was new to the political scene, and he took Joe Biden to be his running mate. Great argument. But the question is, who chooses the vice president? Is it the vice president that chooses the presidential candidate, or the presidential candidate chooses the vice president? You know? So these are some of the things that they don't think about. They come out and make these statements on national radio to confuse our people back home. Mr. Cummings, Joe Walker never went to Mr. Cummings and asked him, say, look, I want you to come and be my vice president so that we can work together and move the country forward. Joe Walker never did that. There is no record of Joe Walker doing that to Mr. Cummings. But then these people come here and talk things about Mr. Cummings. Oh, he's stubborn. Oh, he doesn't want to work with anybody else. The Liberian people said this in 2019. Mr. Cummings agreed. He said, look, we're going to go together as opposition to work together. What happened to him? They lie on him. They took him to court and things like that. You know the story, Mr. So I don't have to tell you. And those who did that, today, Mr. Bwagai, what did he do to them? He shamed them. Okay, he betrayed them. He threw them under the bus. And the news is everywhere. I don't have to tell you that. So it is about time for us to be honest to ourselves and also honest to the Liberian people. We shouldn't just make, talk things when we know that what we say is not the fact. We know of Mr. Cummings making an offer to Mr. Bwagai. Mr. Cummings told Mr. Bwagai, look, hold my hand, step aside from the race, hold my hand to be the standard bearer for the CPP, and you can help me to pick my vice presidential candidate. Mr. Bwagai never responded to it, or Mr. Bwagai never even made a counter offer. So what Mr. Cummings is supposed to do? Go and beg Mr. Bwagai? Oh, yeah, and make me a vice president? Of course not. We need to be honest with us all.
Okay, so quickly here, he's going to respond. He's going to speak for himself. But you listen to Dr. Moniba here this evening here. What you make of that as well? And let me ask you, are you an ANC guy or not?
Look, I'm going to be biased for that. I'm an ANC man. But the thing here is, if my candidate,
I'm just going to,
like I answered to the question earlier, okay. Mr. Moniba is one of our best. Because the thing is, people who are speaking to the truth, they don't move. They don't go looking somewhere else and looking up and down to answer a question.
Okay.
You're asking them.
Joe, hold your peace. Let me come home here. Let me come home here, right here in my own ocean state of Rhode Island. 401 number here, 4736. Caller, are you there?
Hello, sir.
Good evening. Welcome.
Yeah. Oh, Mr. So.
Yeah.
How you doing, sir?
Number, how are you? Let's hear from you. Are you contributing to the program or that's different?
Yeah. Sure, sir.
So, cut the cake for us here.
I just want to inform all Liberians, because we are in political season now, and we've been waiting for this time. I know people are on the line listening to you and also listening to me right now, that all Liberians, we should be able to carry job we have for the second time for our development.
Okay. What are the reasons for which we should reward him for a second time, 6 years?
We have to reward him because it's our country. Our country. We know the type of defect our people went through, Liberia went through. Our people were denied for education. Liberian, our people, the Congo people betrayed us. We can't take man now to become president for Liberia.
Hold on. This sort of red media.
I might have to respond to that caller. Seriously.
Hold on one second. Hello.
No, I just gotta say it's political now.
No, it's not right to say we are done. They've been gone for the 2 years. Why have we done now?
Guys,
Come on, yes, our time now. It is our time now.
They are Liberian. They are everything.
Okay. If you're not listening to me as a driver of this vessel, then you want us to crouch. So let me go to this number here. 701 number 2441. Are you there? 2442, sorry.
Yeah, Mr. So I'm here. I go after.
Good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Trocon.
Trocon, let's hear from you. How's your Sunday going?
I'm doing good, and I call from North Dakota.
Okay, let's hear from the oil field. Which way are you leaning in the political process? Have you decided?
I'm from I say who my position with ANC, but from what I heard from Dr. Moniba today, I mean that was something that the Liberian people need to consider.
Including
yourself? The guy got vision.
Including yourself?
Of course. Mr. So you can just see someone from the way they talk and the way they do things. You can assume sometimes give them the chance. We have chosen since recycle politician, and then we didn't get no result. If Kevin Gonglo can work along with that boy, or Arizona can work with that boy, I think that boy can go forward. We need people with the energy. Yeah.
Okay. So, a lot of you have come to a conclusion. I don't want to be definitive in your response. A lot of you have come to a conclusion with what you're taking both from comments now to Dr. Moniba.
The reason I would say, if you say conclusion, the reason I would say yes, I take side with him is this. We've been around like from 2017. We are not being able to manage our team to have a base. So if the boy is a Lothian and try to put us or hurt to his own uncle, that's what he would tell him. Okay. Talk to him. Yeah.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Mallet Jones, our senior analyst, is here. Let's get some little few reaction here. Okay. 86844. Are you there?
Yeah.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Kalu, and I'm calling from Knoxville, Tennessee.
Knoxville, Tennessee. Let's hear from Tennessee. How the weather? Happy Sunday, by the way. Good to have you here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. The weather is so perfect today.
Oh, we had a wet day here in the East Coast here. And we think all of us should have a shared responsibility to talk about our country, but we believe it must be done in a safer context. That's the only way we understand and give people the opportunity to hear from them. So, have you decided with respect to your political support in Liberia comes 2023, first of all?
Yes, make my decision. I'm supporting. Yes, sir. I'm supporting President Weah for the second term. And the reason we have to support President Weah for the second term is that, we have many things that President Weah have done, to be honest. Though people are saying there's a suffering, there's a this and that, but we should applaud somebody, our people say when somebody is living, that's when you give them the flower. President Weah have done great. He have done well. People who 10 years ago.
What is the example?
That's the example I'm coming to now. The example, we were having one road system over there where one road was just passing through Monrovia. One road was passing through there and traffic jam everywhere. But today, you can see roads passing in communities. That's one thing. Second thing, you can see permanent electricity now. The second thing, you see student loan have been paid for them. Okay. And then we see hospitals have been built in the interior. Grand Jire have hospital that will soon be finishing in a little while. Bapolu Hospital finished. We have the 14 military hospital. We have the college tuition, and we have market.
Market buildings are very important in a country. Go to Africa and go to other country. The people don't sell in the market. Remember that market share are very important in our life. Okay, they are important because everybody, even the president, woman, go in the market to go buy food and bring it to the president home. So for us to have
so quickly,
say that
quickly before I go to my analyst, to everything there's a good and bad side. What do you think this government needs to work on? What do you think is your disappointment as a Liberian that this government, even though you support, but where do you think they are falling short?
Well, I will not say I'm disappointed, but the only thing I think what the president, what the government need to work on very well is security. Security is one of the important things in the country. So we need to have more security so that way we'll be able to, our people will be secure because the mysterious killing that going on is not a government, but because the president is not speaking to that. The president now.
Do you know who
say that again?
Do you know who the person, who those people are who carry on the mysterious killing?
Oh yeah, I mean,
so why is the government not pursuing those people? You think?
I listened to one other guy. I think that was yesterday or last night. Who came on Facebook and called Sarah's people name who are carrying in the community, drugsing people. They can drug the people, give them drugs, and then take them to another community and go and do what it's supposed to do to them. And all these things, because the government is not speaking to that, so people just feel that it is a government. It is a government. So but my last thing I want to say.
Have all reason to believe that it's like a father. Something is happening in your home. You're not taking charge. You are not taking responsibility. Nothing is being done. Do you think family members and other people should hold you responsible for that?
Yeah, I would say not because I support President Weah, so I will not say the truth. I would say because if you in a home as a father and children are messing up stuff and you can't talk, and people would say, oh, because you favor the children, why you do that, or you are the one that's supporting them. People would say that. And so I think that's the reason the Liberians are saying most of the things that Liberian, the president is, aware and all the things are going on. But if you have to speak to them, people would know that, oh no, this is not the government fault. But if all the government is not speaking to certain things, people would believe that. People would believe that. So I will urge President Weah, there are certain things, just one or two words. You're not a talking person, everybody know that, but at least just speak to at least 1 or 2, 3 words, to let the Liberian people know that it is not your government that are doing this. So the last thing I want to say is that please, all the Liberian, everybody, let's support President Weah. Why our country need? Say that again.
I get your number here. I was sending you a bill that promotes your campaign.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, my last word, Mr. So what I want to say is that we need to support this government for the second time. The reason we need to support President Weah government for the second time is that because we need development. If you look around all our neighboring countries, they are developing. They are developing. We cannot just be on hating each other and cursing each other on a daily basis. It's not what we need. We need development in Liberia so that tomorrow when we go back, we'll be able to relax ourselves and enjoy our country. Thank you, Mr. So.
Thank you so much. Get ready. I'll be sending you a bill. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let me go to our senior analyst right here in the ocean state of Rhode Island, Jones Otavius Mali. Folks, we give opportunity to all Liberians, regardless of their political side, as long as there's no insult, let them express their view, and we accommodate our view. But whatever say here is not a view of the management and staff of the Liberia Public Radio. Malice Jones, do you have the opportunity to listen to Dr. Moniba?
Partial.
Okay, let's get a partial one that you heard. What you make of it so far?
Well, especially where he came in to distance himself from Joseph Boakai, and it seems to be he's prepared to wear a new fighting glove. Yeah, it's like he prepared to wear a fighting glove to probably meet up with Mr. Moniba. I mean, Joseph Boakai. But from all his analysis, I strongly believe that his coming is belated. Yes.
Why does this always an issue of people he not come soon? Are we focusing on the ideas, the vision? Doesn't matter the timeline. I know it's part of it because politically you gotta get prepared. The resources, you must have good capital to execute an effective campaign. But what happens if the visions of the expiring satisfy or meet the needs of the country? So election is not yet over. We're still in the process. The vetting process is still going on. So what makes it so matter to say, oh, you didn't come, you didn't announce yourself 4, 5, 6 months ago?
Well, to me, it matters for two reasons.
Mm-hmm.
One, most of all are aware of the problem in Liberia. Two, the Liberian population, especially the voting bloc in Liberia, these are people that you should live with, talk with, walk with, sleep with, eat with, to first of all get your image ingrained into their mind, to know you, to know who you are, and your efforts over the years. That the kind of a voting bloc we have in Liberia. So it's not a voting bloc where they are highly educated, and so they vote on the basis of platform and holding politicians accountable for what they have said they would do. So poverty is a factor in the whole exercise. So when you come and live with the people and begin to move around for a number of years, 2, 3 years, then at some point you decide now to tell the people what you want to do. And this is where President Weah came from. President Weah lived with these people during the Helen Johnson government for 12 years and before then. And so it's like, it's a gradual process. So it's based on the voting bloc that sometimes we want to say, when you just come in, it becomes difficult for the people to even remember who you are and for them to even know whether you're supposed to do something for them. But if you live with the people and try to be part of their problem, identify with them, identify with their situation from time to time, that's the type of voting bloc we have in Liberia.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. This Mr. Ketter is right. Mr. So some voters make up their minds in a year. So let's see here. But let's go to I think Joe Biden is calling from Wilmington, Delaware, after the press coordinator last night. 302-2457. Are you there, caller? Caller, are you there? 302-2457. Person got to be 302-57 number. Are you there? 2457. Okay. Well, all right. Go ahead. I don't see it.
Okay.
So yeah, go ahead.
So apart from the voting bloc, Mr. Moderator, there's another factor here. Moniba, I don't know whether you ever had public office before.
A person called. Oh yeah, he's white. Say again. Whether he have a public experience, you said?
Whether he ever served in public service in Liberia.
Oh yeah, he was one of the youngest minister, chairman, board of director. He's very serving very impressive.
Okay, very, very good.
So hold on, let me just see. I believe they call back. 302, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing? How you doing?
Good evening. What's your name and where you calling from, please?
My name is Tower Johnson. I'm calling from Philadelphia.
Mr. Johnson, welcome to the show. Let's hear from you. Do you listen? You had the opportunity to listen to the interview with Dr. Moniba?
Yes. He talking about aspiring president. I want to be president for my country.
Yes.
Yeah, I listened to him. I listened to another platform, and I told Harvey Moluba, and I knew his father because I was born 1980, and I saw his father work with some of the late American. he have a lot of things that our country need right now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's the same age I am. I'm 43 and he's in the 40. But the thing about it, about me making decision for him, if George Weah wasn't in the race, I was going to be able to run his campaign. I was going to come on in Liberia and help him run because he had a lot of vision and he brought a lot of things to Liberia that he said during the Ellen Jones Salif. He was there. My thing with him is that if you knew all those things that we are now complete, why you never join we are to help, we are to work in his government. But he have an idea, but just that we are in the race. That's my problem with him. He came late. Like the Pop said earlier, he came real late to the thing. He never come and put themselves there and do what open do and dry the grass and cut the grass, root with the people, eat farion, eat burger, eat pambada. Baba will be familiar. Open came to us. I knew I was staying in Liberia. I come to the United States 2020. Open was there in 1990, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96. Open was with us. I saw we are. He brought the first, what's the name, first boutique on Rhino Street when the war was hot. I never see what's the name, Buaka there. I ain't see Cummins. I ain't see Ure. I ain't see none of them. I saw George Weah. I was in Liberia.
So yeah, let's have a little conversation here. When you say you saw him, he brought this, he has the boutique. Is there any other thing beyond that? Is it that he, President Weah, speaks the language or understand where you come from or the day-to-day activities of Liberia? Is that all you are putting into context, or are you saying because these other people were not saying physically during the crisis? Which one are we talking about?
I like that question. I will put it back to myself. I will put myself in George Weah's show. When I look at Open, you see, when I'm voting for somebody, a person who believes what I believe in. Weah is somebody like me. I came from the parents. I don't know my mom and pa. I don't know my mom. I don't know my pa. Weah went to the rain. His pa was there. He came to Monrovia as a young child, lived with his grandmother. He went to Yucatan. He went to West Point, to all these places. So he went. He know what it is to go to sleep hungry. So when I look at Weah, I look at myself. I went through the same thing. He went through the same thing with me. So for him to arise to this place, he not just go there. We are not just going there for power. He's going there because he do the same thing. He wants you candlelight, chew, mixing water, eating pancana, Papa John, kiss me. He called his slipper with us. We are not pretending like he's not us. He is us. He don't need to fool us. We know him. We're not just putting Weah because Weah want to be president. Weah is just like me. That's why I'm voting for Weah for. I can see myself in George Weah. That's why I'm voting for Weah for. When you speak about me, my one vote, Pap, that's what. I'm not voting because he came to he play soccer, he bring a booty. Anybody can bring booty. But Weah is like me. If I look at my life, I look at George Weah, I see George Weah, myself in George Weah.
Your lifestyle is a replicate of President Weah, correct? That's something that captures your imagination.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anytime. I like your show. You are doing a good show. One thing I love about you, you don't take sides. You go to the issue. You speak the issue. This is my second time or third time being on your platform calling. God bless you. You're doing a great job for Mama Liberia. We all have only one Liberia. We are all Liberians, no matter where you're from. Congo, Guinea, we are all Liberians. One Liberian, we want a better Liberia for all our great grandchildren. Bless you, Pop.
Thank you so much. So, Aaron, 30 seconds quickly. Let me go to my guy. We're going to be wrapping up. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. So, yeah, I just wanted to add up to what last caller just said. You know, a lot of people come on the air and say a lot of things about Upon or President Weah, what he did for Liberia. I think the last time I was on your show, I narrated some stuff. Look, this man don't need no more name recognition, okay? This man did everything that he can do. The reason why the grassroots gravitate to this man is because they look at him like them, okay? This man worked with everybody. The refugees, every refugee camp all around West Africa, George Weah was there. Okay, so I mean, look, we need to give this man a second chance. That's all I can say.
All right.
And I pray to God that he get it.
Thank you so much.
All right.
So we're going to seize the call out. We get a few minutes here to go. So Mr. Jones, let me come to you. You listen to the caller just called in from IPA.
Yeah.
In his word, I see we are like me. My lifestyle is weird. I think we have had this conversation here before. Oh my God, somebody else is calling. We don't like to turn people down. Let's see here. Unless I disconnect this phone here. 704 number. Good evening. Can you lower your monitor, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Lawrence Mack. Calling from California.
California. Are you in a liberal state? Are you a liberal?
Huh?
Are you a liberal?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. No, disregard that. Okay. Good evening. Welcome. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something towards the previous callers.
Okay.
We are trying to develop our country. You're basing your opinion based on how you feel. What is Liberia? What is the state of Liberia? Liberia is in a chaos. We're looking for leadership, not a president who don't talk to his people. What is the leadership, Jos, we are showing to our country? You're coming here with all these opinions, how you feel because he been there, the poor. Look at the country, look at the country state. It pains me when I talk about this. Look at how the country, no president is re-elected based on poor performance. You think about that. Then you can decide where Liberia wants to go. Look at the country state. No water, no running water, no stable electricity. All these things that what stable country do or have, I would say. Liberia don't have none of these things, and you're here just basing it on how you feel and all these things. You gotta be serious, man. That's what I say. So on serious people in Liberia, down to the legislature, the executive, all the branches. So on serious people, because you are not thinking of 10 years from now. You're not thinking about those things. Well, Liberia will be 10 years from now. You're just looking about what can happen today or tomorrow. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Okay, guys, we're gonna leave it here. Please don't call again. I'm disconnecting the service here. Let me have Jones here in a few minutes before we go here. Jones.
Yeah.
So this is a convoluted one. You have a certain group of people say, okay, he's one of us. We see him like us. He empathizes with us. Our lifestyle looks like him. You have the other folks who are free thinker say, no, this is how it's supposed to be. Let's take a holistic approach. We are talking about a sovereign nation. How can we navigate through this corridor? How can you change the mind of those who say, no, if I see him like myself because I have went through that. And that could be a reality of his or her life. The person that is saying that, that's not something you might disagree with, and you cannot just ignore it. But there's a way that you could also channel your message to bring into that convincing point. The question now becomes, so there are people sitting on the fence, there are a lot of things, plenty of things factoring in here. The opposition, they are seeking for this job. How can they convince people of like the other brother who just saw, who said, his life is my lifestyle. This is what I passed through. He's talking about his own reality too. That's something we cannot ignore. We just need to figure out as to how we can get into a conversation. How do we get through this?
Well, I think all the callers have got very valid points. In politics, this is where, quote unquote, the issue of interest come in, you know. Some people see their shadow in George Weah. Some people see him as one of them, you know. And some people see him as identifying with the downtrodden. And some people see him as identifying with the suffering of the people. But here is my question. We are looking at things holistically and from a very politically technical aspect right now. First, when George came to power, he added 45,000 new employment to the payroll. That was a problem.
The size of government increased. I'm not a favor of big
the size of government increased by 45,000 according to sources. A finance minister decided to cut down salary to meet up with this new increment. Okay, then he called it salary harmonization, which was economically, it was terrible. Now, inflation is in the country moving up high, salary are down, salary are still stagnant. This is the man who say he know about the suffering of the people. Now he has created more poverty for that sector than I expected. Then if I want to do a comparison with George we are suffering and people identifying with him, then how do we compromise that? How do we reconcile that with the downsizing of people's salary to accommodate his new employment? Helen had this thing up to $200, $250 to $300. The man brought this thing down just to accommodate his new. So before you could do that, first of all, George should have taken into consideration his level of revenue intake, money left in the coffers, and how he can get more money. This is a country investors are leaving rather than they're coming.
So the question now becomes, because we are already out of time.
Yeah.
Is the opposition having this sort of honest conversation to bring into reality the context, the implications, all of these to optimize it? Even they have their talking heads who doing these pop show, talk shows or whatever. Are they also explaining this agenda? I am not a guy who believes in government to do huge spending. No one is telling us as to how they're going to downsize government. That is a serious concern. And I can tell you, the both opposition to the ruling establishment, they have all of these supporters, people chanting, singing, whatever they are doing, cheering them up. There is a political interest. When you become president tomorrow, you have the Solidarity Brigade, the people this win, this, that. These people must be accommodated. So they are not telling us how they're going to deal with this situation. You don't want to leave them by the wayside after all of these joking, free therapy they've been having and celebrating it. When they take state power, you must find accommodation for them. They are not being able to tell us exactly how they're going to do it. They are not telling us how they're going to condense some other ministry to downsize government instead of government being so huge with this sort of spending. None of these conversations taking place. We are being distracted with all of these political side-tarring for which we are not discussing the issue. So it killed the substance of the main thing that we want to even hear from these leaders. And guess what? The very electors, every alligator, every person protects their own alligator. Whether it's coming from the government, it's coming from the opposition, the blame game is on. They did it yesterday, you don't talk, you want to talk today. How will we settle this?
I think you just strike another valid point here. The issue, this is where Georgia is winning. Because the opposition are not giving up a flip side of the story. Yes. Everyone is saying that when we come, we're going to bring about good governance. That's a general statement. Everyone is telling us when we come, we're going to make sure Liberia will be stable. Those are general statements. But just what you said, the specifics are conspicuously absent in their discussion. For instance, now Georgia has just pushed 45,000 into government employment. If opposition take over, removing these people is going to be adding to the poverty rate in Liberia. So the question now is, how are they going to manage with that? That one. Two, the salary harmonization is causing problem. Are they going to carry up or are they going to bring it down more? That's another problem, you see? So I agree with you. The specific, I don't hear it. So I want to assume that probably the opposition will come and maybe play the same read a CT leaf as Georgia is doing. Then if that would be the logical argument, then let Georgia stay in power for the next 6 years, because it's like, I'm an independent. I have not seen any opposition person convincing me this is how we're going to solve the issue of protecting citizens in Liberia. Georgia is taking on a road development. Yes. He has forgotten completely about the little dining room thing, how to improve the people condition and improve their living condition. He has forgotten about that. But yeah, he came from the slum where he ate gari, he ate pepper, where he ate fried feet, where he ate, he sat by the roadside with the people. I agree, George, we got all the ideas. But why is it that their hardship, things are not improving for the common person in Liberia? Why?
So quickly, part of the deficiency here, from what I try to sense out, is it a communication aspect, the language, the tone, the affiliation, the association? You have to empathize with people. People would like to see people being like them, putting themselves in their shoe. Is George Weah doing that more than the oppositions, or what is it? What is lacking?
Yeah, I think this is from my own research. I think this is where,
because the essence, the whole thing here, not to interrupt you, the whole essence here, you want to communicate with people who will understand what you are saying, who feels like you are one of them.
Yes.
Who see you like, you know what, he's visible anytime. Or, you know, there are so many ways people, admire people or think or make up their mind. Unfortunately, we are not having the conversations of a substance. And I was talking to that. There's nobody conducting any poll to know the priorities as to how they are going to be voting. Are you considering healthcare? Are you considering education? Are you considering infrastructure? Why? On what basis? What is your own set criteria of electing the president, a representative? What is the argument? Unfortunately, we are not having that.
Yes, we are not going to have that, because that is not the normal tradition of our politics in Liberia. So poverty has created a condition where people just come and lie to people, bring them few cup of rice and oil and fish,
okay,
and they vote for you.
People accountable. This is what Aaron is saying. Mr. So, please ask Mr. Malley if he has proof of the 45,000 added employment he's talking about.
Yes. Go to the civil
service. What I do know, the size of government was increased.
Yes. Go to the civil service website and click on new intake employment. You will see the figure there. SI is being removed, but it's 45,000 new employment.
The size of government. That scares me.
That was a new intake. That's not the original. That's the new intake added to what was there. And you don't run government like that. But here is the problem. You just brought in another factor. But I think the problem with the Georgia government is like, he has gone the wrong people in offices. I think this is where some of the problem. The technical know-how to work some of these things out, to balance it. I think there was, Georgia is just one man. He's working with ministers he considered to be technocrats to do this job. But are they well versed into their area, like the finance minister? If your government is coming in and bringing in the huge chunk, where do you get the money from to pay these people? Was he thinking? Did he advise the president? Did they look into this thing? Did they check their revenue intake? You know, all these things, as a good finance minister, you're supposed to advise the government, because that's where the problems start from. Now you have to come and do salary harmonization to spread things out, so that everybody get bit and pieces. Is that a good approach? So I think the finance minister has got a problem. We need a finance minister who will think through properly. But can the opposition come in to close this gap? That's another argument for another day.
Okay, we have 2 to go, maybe 3 still there. The president maintaining his vice president, Dr. Joel Howard Taylor. Ambassador Boyka has made a major political consequential decision. The conversation is out there, depending who you talk to. They have their own interpretation. We are now hearing the convention or whatever gathering of ANC in the coming days and week. Why should Alexander Cummings and the ANC, what should be their focus? They're going to be making a selection. Where do you think he's going to be looking?
Well, I've been reading through a lot of other stories. For Alexander B. Cummings, to be frank with you, this guy just coming, Tier 1 Gongolo. I think Tier 1 Gongolo, I don't know why people try to really look down on this guy, but he seems to be a very good prospect. And he can be I thought he would have been a very good vice president to Ambassador Boyka, so that together they will scramble.
Boyka?
No. Boyka, because Boyka had already get his image imprinted into the Liberian people mind. The people know him, but he has to go out there and campaign. All right. And Gongoro has got the energy. He's got the political language. He's making the move. So I would really prefer him. And he tried to understand the terrain. Just of late, he was in the southeastern counties. And to be frank with you, Georgia is hanging seriously on the southeastern county. If you break the southeastern county down, Georgia backbone is broken down.
So let's narrow the scope. Let's narrow the scope here in the elimination process.
Yes.
You have Nyombli Kanga on the other side now, being left by the wayside. Big political disappointment, but the standard bearer has a right to do a pick. Should the Cummings folks, should they be having conversation with both Nyombli Kanga Lawrence and Tiawon Gonglo, making the political bargains? This is the unusual thing, and I'm kind of like, I don't know to the extent the conversation that went on inside the Boyka farm. Nyombli, remember, she still maintained a position, even though her political future in terms of having dominion over her party, that one Supreme Court has ruled it out, but she's still in the Senate. She still get her job. Should anybody make some hardcore political commitment? Hey, if I win this, I need your support. I want you to do it public. If I win it, I will put you for the pro tem, which is a high-profile position. That could be a stabilization to get some political accommodation. Hey, Gonglo, because what you want to do, you want to measure arm with your own opponent within your column to validate your argument, to be a good person to challenge the me incumbent. So why should Cummings, where you think Cummings can go now? Who you think Cummings, where can he go to kind of like bring it at equilibrium here to make it more competitive?
Well, I think,
or Nyombli Kanga Lawrence?
Yeah, I think between Kanga Lawrence and Tier 1 Gongoro, I think I would prefer him leaning on Gongolo's side. Because there's the argument that is being painted the other way around, that when you win Nima County, you win the executive mansion. That's a fallacy.
That's not true.
It's a big fallacy. The advantage here is that when you win Nima County, you get a little bit vote standing by to keep pushing you on. So if Cummings take Tier 1 Gongolo, they're going to be a scramble over Nima County. And the reason for which Ambassador Boyka decided to choose Kum, because Nima County, Gongolo could help downsize it for him, and that could bring Joseph Boyka serious downfall.
And Tonto Nyombli said, you know what? He who's down fear no fall. Nyombli has been heavily political winner and say, you know what? I can push you for pro tem.
Yeah, here's the issue. Nyombli, I think, I could be wrong, she's very comfortable right now to have political discussion despite all the legal Rangman rule at the Supreme Court with Cummings. She's still comfortable, then she can have it with Joseph Boyka right now. So if Gongolo come into the picture and she come and back up, that's a stiff competition there for the Joseph Boakai scam that is being submerged into serious acrimony right now. Because the whole issue of Prince Johnson, vice president surrogate to him, that alone is a problem. This is why I told friends today, I'm not against Senator Kuhn. If Senator Kuhn had just come from Nima County, not knowing Prince Johnson from a different political party, and he has come to the limelight, and they have chosen him with Prince Johnson not being attached to that whole thing, I don't have a problem with that. I won't even make the kind of a criticism. Prince Johnson is stigmatized. He's a persona non grata, and he's rejected by the American people. And the Americans are still part of our political system, directly or indirectly. They have put the man on sanction to let you know that he's being rejected.
The question now becomes, can Ambassador Boakai hold the hands, or can Prince Johnson hold the hands of Ambassador Boakai to campaign through the length and breadth of the country? Or I'm waiting to see that happen. That is a fascinating one.
That is the next ice-breaking news we are waiting for. To see a former warlord holding hand with a Democratic leader on a campaign tour, and that's what even the American government is waiting to see.
Oh.
And when those hands are being held high in the sky, trust me, Prince Johnson cannot go in most of the southeastern county like Grand Jide to even run campaign there. And anytime Boakai go to talk about his campaign, trust me, he will be reminded that it's Prince Johnson that made him and made Kuhn.
Okay.
Yes. I'm sorry to say, but I just want to be analytical about this.
Right. But you have not still decided which way?
No, it seems to be, I will soon be deciding, because the direction the pendulum is moving now, it's getting very interesting.
Where are you literally leaning towards? I think you have heard too much is happening right now. So where are you leaning?
No, we are still in the discussion, because they Prince Johnson, the Ambassador
You seem to rule out Ambassador. Let's do a process of elimination. You seem to rule out Ambassador Boakai, correct?
Yes, because of Prince Johnson factor, yes.
Because of Prince Johnson factor.
Yes.
George Weah still in the picture, President Weah?
Of course, George Weah is still in the picture.
Okay.
But my leaning now with the pendulum is going different direction. You said something earlier here. The specifics from the opposition is what I'm waiting for.
What are you waiting to hear from Cummings?
Very good. I'm waiting to hear 3 things from Cummings.
What?
I don't want Cummings telling me the TRC will come. Let Cummings lay down the strategic issues about the CRC that will come, because the TRC has got a process. It must be approved. The president will have to send it to Parliament. Parliament will have to approve it. Then it go into effect. Yes. So in between there, how is he going to work that out when he don't have majority in Parliament? And most of the people in Parliament, Prince Johnson is in Parliament. Now people are now calling that the TRC, we should forget about it. We cannot forget about it. Because too many crime in the town there, because most of these 16-year-old kids, 10-year-old kids that were fighting the war are now grown up. They have no career.
The question becomes, are Liberians, when it comes to this war crime code, which of course, these are things that, this whole thing started, we ignore it, we downplay it, and not to add insult to injury, Jerome Verdict all helped to kill it prematurely because of his behavior and things that he had been saying, throwing out there, undermines the credibility of the very TRC that is on it. So, and this is why you've been hearing Prince Johnson say, oh, don't mind if this thing not going to happen, this nothing going to happen. But it's Liberians really focusing on that. Do you think?
Mr. So, if we don't focus on the TRC, no matter what government comes to power, Liberia will not be a safe place to travel.
I strongly feel we did not address this thing from the onset, unlike the Sierra Leonean. They took a definitive position, and the new aid, the no aid to avoid this, they refused to reward all of those major actors' political offices. Instead, in our country, we did it a different way. We did it upside down, and we have empowered. They have become a decisions and policy maker. Makes it very difficult now. How can you take this off now in the Senate? You expect Prince Johnson to vote for it. You expect George Bullitt and all of those people. Well, they will say it on the surface, let it count. But behind the black curtain, there are extensive conversation going that they do not even want to come. And so even those that are seeking for the higher office of the land, when they get elected, guess what? There's other conversation behind the scene that you don't know, I don't know. Like, hey, Mr. President, when you do this, this will undermine your government. They're going to bring, it just become they are not looking at the long implications and the connection that you're going to bring with the international community. So this is a cutting edge situation.
To be frank with you, I don't think we need a TRC now. We need a Justice Commission. Don't forget about that reconciliation aspect now. We need a Justice Commission that will investigate the war. So this means the president that coming to power will have to cut parliament from this thing and will take some executive decision to plan the tribunal in Liberia and call for financial support and legal minds to come and help us promote this thing. That's what the Sierra Leonean did. But you just said Jeroen and other people help to suffocate the TRC.
Because they've been taking side. They've been very bitter. They've been very judgmental on the very people.
I want to differ. Yes, I want to differ from that a little bit.
Okay.
The TRC was paralyzed by Helen Johnson Sirleaf. When she sent it to the Supreme Court, and this guy that was removed from the Supreme Court bench, what's his name?
Kabina,
he was in charge. So Kabina even stabbed the TRC at the Supreme Court because he was one of the warlords. And so every time you ask Helen Johnson Sirleaf, she refer you to the Supreme Court. She said, oh, that the Supreme Court took the decision. There where the death of the TRC came from. And she had no business sending the TRC to the Supreme Court. There where the problem came from today. So what I'm recommending now, we don't need TRC anymore. We need a Justice Commission. That reconciliation aspect, we're done with it already. Let's get straight to the justice aspect. Those who we think were offended or killed in the war, you have evidence, you bring it forward. We plan a local tribunal in town. We get some judges. From Geneva, or we talk to the USA. They will be happy and get our protection. And people have to be punished. All right? People need to go behind bar. You see, most of the crime in town now are the kids who were 10-year-old. Some of them were 9-year-old. Some of them were 15-year-old. They're all grown now. They have the only career they have now is armed robbery, and they have become hardened criminal, and very soon they're going to be on the highway hijacking cars. That's going to make, you know what I'm going to do? Investor will not go to Liberia. So we need to bring this thing, send the adults now. We need to put a lot of them behind bar.
Oh boy.
Yes. And
okay.
Only Justice Commission can do that. So the TRC has got this legislative aspect. We don't want that again. It's not going through no parliament. It will not survive. So these are the things I want to hear from the opposition telling me about the TRC, that we need Justice Commission now, not TRC anymore.
Okay. Well, that's the views analysis expressed by Octavius Jones Malice Sr. So your decision will be made before Cummings' decision or after? Which one? After?
Yes.
What are those precautionary measures for?
No precautionary measure, because in the past I have been like any ordinary voter in Liberia. You know, I like, yeah, I like the opposition. I like his beer. I like how he can talk, and you know, I like how he come around. This is how I've been voting. But I think I have come of age now with some critical thoughts about why should I vote for Mr. Soul. What are his substance? Not forget about his substance. What is he going to deliver? Is he bringing something new to the table? Because in the first place, to be frank with you, Mr. Moderator, the next president that will come, if George Weah doesn't make it, there are so much challenges on him when they come.
No,
In the first challenge here is the city is dirty. That city is really dirty. Okay, we need a vision-minded law mayor to clean our city. If it means you got to enforce the law to throw 25, 30 people in jail every day, throw them in jail.
Man, that's
Here
one of
but here is the irony. Our ministers, our law mayor,
the budget, there must be a provision. There must also be a provision logistic to get a set of things.
Of course, our law mayor, the ministers, the president, they come to the United States of America. They don't throw candy they eat, the peeling. They don't throw it on the street here. They keep it in their pocket. When they get somewhere, they put it into the trash can. They see how the people cities are very clean. They can take some of the good ideas back. This is how Singapore developed today. They send their people out to go see what happened there. So what is the big deal? We need a visionary in Liberia to be a leader.
What a big deal. We need a vision.
But the problem in Liberia now, the problems are too much. I don't know how Kumi then or Bwakai, I don't know how they even want to manage it. I don't know. The problem is huge.
Thank you so much. You know, the Liberals said this here from the beginning, and what get the opposition so fragmented? They have all of them have one vision, is to unseat this government. Probably they would have done it the CDC style. CDC made it crystal clear when they were forming coalition with the Prince Johnson, then NPP. CDC said we're going to take the power board. They look at the other political party, perhaps more or less with the strength, say we're going to do this. The first document the CPP put out was very divisive. It was not good. We had a conversation, but the Liberal and other folks didn't understand it. I think it was an easier process, easier in the sense that two persons out of the four teams or four political parties that were forming this collaboration, two expresses their interest for the higher office of the land. Why they didn't go into political bargain if they knew they wanted to do something. But they all have different ideologies. I don't think they were compatible in the first place. I don't think it was. I don't think they really had enough conversations. Other people brought certain things on board, and other people left their baggage outside, and they took few in the conference room. As a result, those discussions were inconclusive, and this is how we see the whole collaboration went into turmoil. And the water got poisoned, and nobody wants to drink the poisoned water, because if you did, you're gonna die. And here we are today. The mere anarchies are loose upon the world. Jones Malice, we want to thank you so much for your expertise this evening, and for being here. By God's willing, in the coming week, all eyes on ANC Alexander Benedict Cummings pick, and we're going to see what next. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay, folks, in Radio Land, we want to thank you so much. This is how we do it here sometime, and sometimes it doesn't go your way, sometimes it doesn't suit your political taste, but this is how we get a conversation going. For those of you tuning in with us for your first time, we say thank you so much for sharing your evening, your Sunday with us. If this is the first time that for whatever reason you are disappointed because our language, our tone did not go in your favor, we say sorry. Hopefully next time they will, but there's nothing guaranteed on this network. We always like to keep a proportion of fair, balance, objective. And this is why we do not sanction voices here. As long as you call here, you express your views, your opinion. That's your view, that's your opinion. It does not in any way represent the management and staff of the Liberia Public Radio, including we so much enjoy your tweet, your interaction. Trust me, we go back, the analysts, we read those comments. It helps us to enhance our conversation, our talking point. It's not an issue of whether we agree or disagree with you, but your views, your opinion must be heard. And that's what is needed in that country. We must be able to listen to people. We shouldn't shut things down the throat of people, because there are other people who start with their subject in the beginning, others in the end, and some people in the middle. But shoving stuff down the throat of people, you will not get the positive signals. And sometimes we listen and see whether we can get a positive signal. What I do know and what you do know, this is the building is being heavily contested for. We now know the president, vice running mate, who is the Cuban vice president. We now know Joseph Boyka, Senator Jeremiah Kohn of Nima County. All eyes on ANC, Councilor Tiawan Gonglo. Dr. Moniba, we cannot rule him out. Who is ANC having a conversation with? In the next coming days, we will know. Would that be the game changer? Is Nyomli Kanga still in the race? We don't know. Would there be any other political commendation to create that competitiveness with challenger in the opposition current Ambassador Joseph Newman Boyka? The brand name is dead. We cannot undo that. And that is very, very much real, of course. Folks, thank you so much. The page is Liberia Public Radio. Follow, like, send in your suggestions, your comments as to how we can enhance our conversation here on this network. We tend and we try to represent the broader views of the Liberian people. Until then, what a wet day here in the East Coast. The time is 7:02 Eastern Standard Time. I am Afonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio. In the coming week, join the analysts. They will be here. They will decide and will look at critical issues together us. It is because of your strength, your passion, and the love of your country. This is why we are here always. Be careful what you listen to, because what you potentially listen to, you could make a decision in that. Listen, but be calculative. Be of a decision of yourself. Take decisions that will be good for the country. We are at a crossroad, consequential time. We are about to empower men and women who will be making decisions for the next 6 years, 4 years, whatever years is being allotted in the Constitution. Think about that. If you put them, you ever saw anybody resigning for corruption? No, it only happens here. So once you give them that authority, that gabble remains with them until whatever kingdom comes down. Have a pleasant evening. As usual, let's take you to neighboring La Côte d'Ivoire. Bye-bye.
C'est encore la magie de Bayatemo. Qui va dire? Laissez sembler. Le parrain permanent, Conseiller la rock. Assez au papa.
Thank you so much. John Nipo, thank you for being here this evening. OG Ben. Mr. Alvin Lawkins, it was a pleasure having you here. And we say a big thank you to our special guest, Dr. Clarance, Moniba, Matthew Mangoli,
President Gay Marie,
Achimo Frederick, Couple Vavley, thank you so much. Joe Conto, thank you so much for your Mr. Moses Kata, good evening. Thank you so much.
Dr. Philippe.
Musa Peno. Oh, Willie Henne is in the house. What Africa and Guinea. Mr. Harris Sloan. Theater Geeks. Afternoon, Mr. David Wade. Good evening. Thank you so much. E.A.B. Jenica. Mr. Oh, don't see if you are calling your name wrong.
C'est à Marcel.
Dennis Yassiet. Of course, our dance of the Liberia Public Radio to the West African state of the Republic of Liberia. Thank you for giving back to Thank you so much for your time this evening. By God's willing, same time, same stations. We're going to be back here with more talking points. Please send me your suggestions. And my man, Prosper Terry, thank you so much for always being here, my man. If I don't see you, I get sick on this next way. Trust me. You know you can be on my back. But don't mind me. Do what you're supposed to do. You don't inflict no pain, nothing. So that's cool with that. So, give me great thank you so much for coming in. Always follow Lpr. Lydia Zemo. Thank you. This is the first time you get to hear. Please make your mark. Follow our network as well. Until then, folks, by God's willing, same time, same station, we'll be back here with more programming. Have a pleasant Antoine. Happy Sunday. It's raining, depending on location. Here. Let's pray for Mama to like.